What's going on, guys? I'm Andrew,
I'm Jason.
and this is Movie Source.
Today we're doing our scene-by-scene breakdown for Batman v Superman.
Dawn of Justice. Alright, so as Jason just said, we're doing a scene-by-scene breakdown, basically, of most of the film, probably just about all the film, really. But, we are going to be pointing out some spoilers here, so if you guys have not seen the film, I can't imagine you haven't by now if you're watching this video, but if you have not seen the film, put this on your watch later, come back after you've seen the film, and then check this out, because we don't want to spoil anything for you, so we're going to be going heavy deep into spoilers. That being said, now Jason, really quick, I've seen it 3 times. I don't know, I kind of like this movie more and more all I get. I don't feel it deserves all the flack, but, it's going to be interesting right now to kind of peel the layers of this film right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, the more times you see it, you kind of pick up on little things. There's a lot of little Easter eggs here and there that especially DC fans will definitely pick up on. But yeah, no, I definitely like this movie. It doesn't deserve not any of the hate. It definitely deserves a little bit, but the hate is getting a little bit out of control.
Yeah, there's definitely flaws, but I feel like it's becoming to a nitpick point. But I mean, there's definitely some flaws in the movie that I agree with, and then others I definitely don't. But that being said, let's go into the first scene of the film. First, we start off with something we have never seen in a Batman film. That's Thomas and Martha Wayne dying. Now, there were some cool shots in here. We got to see Excalibur.
I think you're being a little sarcastic, yeah?
Yeah, just obviously, I'm just kidding. We've seen that a bunch of times. But going into the scene, there's some cool Easter eggs right around. You see first that there's the Mask of Zorro. Now, in the comics, actually, Bruce Wayne, when he comes, sometimes when he comes out of the when him and his parents come out of the theater, they're actually watching Mask of Zorro. And also Zorro is kind of like an idol to Bruce Wayne. That's who he gets a lot of his inspiration from.
He's like a masked vigilante.
Yeah, exactly. So. And also, I believe the theater that they come out of, it's playing Excalibur, which is Excalibur. 1981, that film came out. So that was cool. There's a lot of foreshadowing of that film as well in this. So really cool Easter eggs. I really love how Zack Snyder, in one of the shots you mentioned in our spoiler review, that Zack Snyder has the gun right in, or rather,
with the pearls wrapped around the gun.
I believe it's Joe Chill. They didn't mention it wasn't, so I'm going to assume it's Joe Chill. Joe's got the gun inside of Martha's pearl necklace, and that is right out of the comics. Where with the shot, it's literally right out of the pages. So it was a really neat shot by Larry Fong and also Zack Snyder. Just that visual style of his to get it right out of the comics.
They actually do that a lot in this movie. They literally take panels right out of the comics and put them in the scenes. Definitely really well done in that sense. So.
We're gonna try to go over as many of those as we can. If there's any we are missing, please in the comment section below let us know about some of the ones we do miss. Probably my favorite scene in the entire film is the Battle of Metropolis. Now we'd actually seen this originally in Man of Steel, the film that had come out in 2013. From this time in the film, we get to see it from Bruce Wayne's point of view, and I love just seeing all the wanted destruction, seeing all the people dying around.
Seeing the ship up above from Bruce's perspective, looking up at it. Basically, I thought that was a great shot. And then you see Bruce kind of driving through the city.
It was really
trying to get to his building where all his friends were trapped.
Yeah, and I love the emotional tie in the scene. I love seeing how Jack was in the building. And one thing I just didn't get is why Jack was waiting until Bruce. It's a nitpick, but still, it makes characters seem a little low IQ. But I just really would have loved had he been trapped in the building and then Bruce, was determined to get there to get them out, and then he feels extra motivated by that. But still, the way the scene was shot, it was so beautiful. Again, all the warrant destruction, all the people dying around, and the way Bruce is driving around it. Also, then you got Bruce saving Wally from the wreckage. His legs.
After the building falls, it's kind of all dusty, and he walks into it, and then like you said, he sees Wally with his legs kind of messed up.
Dude, that part where Bruce is running and the buildings are coming down, and everyone's running the other way, and he's running into the dust. That's what makes Bruce Wayne a hero.
And it helps build up his character a little bit too. You see the kind of man that he is. He wants to help the people who he cares about.
Yeah,
so.
and also just adding to that, helping Wally right there, and then he sees a little girl is about to be smashed by parts of the building, and he goes in there to save her, and he says, "Hey, it's okay. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find your mom. Where is she?" And then she points up to the destruction.
Yeah, and it's a great shot of them just looking up the building,
and sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying when she points up, you just see the camera pan upwards towards the wrecked building. I thought that was
great shot. No, definitely, and also continuing on that shot, you see Superman and Zod in the air. And the determined look, how pissed off and angry Bruce Wayne. For me, I was like, I completely understand and get Bruce Wayne's motivation right here. And just this, without dialogue right there from Ben Affleck, brilliantly acted right there because you can tell exactly what's on his face and mind and what he's thinking in that moment. So love that scene. It's my favorite scene of the film.
So after that, we see two kids in the Indian Ocean diving down, and they pick up that big thing of kryptonite and they bring it to that guy, whoever it is that's looking for it.
Right.
And then right after that, I mean, it's a pretty quick scene. They cut right into the desert.
Yes.
Where Lois is, I guess with this terrorist organization, and she's with
Jimmy Olsen, actually.
Jimmy Olsen.
And they don't. And actually, in the film, you never hear them say Jimmy Olsen. As I believe it, they're going in the 30-minute Ultimate Edition cut, which we will be reviewing. Actually, we're also going to be doing a scene-by-scene breakdown for that for the added minutes on that as well. So be looking out for that in July. Adding to that, Zack Snyder did confirm this is Jimmy Olsen. Now, the actor playing him, I forgot his name. I believe I can't remember his name right now, but the actor playing him was in Smallville, and he actually played Julian Luthor in that. So I thought that was cool having a Smallville tie-in, and I actually like that actor a lot. Me personally, I hope they retcon it because I hated not even a mention, just Jimmy Olsen's dead. And I actually liked the actor who was playing him.
Yeah,
he was doing a good job.
It was weird how they just killed him off right away without any explanation. And it was kind of weird how he kind of botched the whole thing.
He works for the CIA, right?
Yeah, but you got to know you can't just pull out your camera and start taking pictures in the middle of that thing. So,
but I'm saying they changed the mythos a little bit because Jimmy Olsen's not just the photographer working he's a CIA agent there.
Right.
But I would have loved Superman to save him there, and you don't have to get into Jimmy Olsen being in this because so many different things are going on. I just wish they wouldn't have killed him. And again, the fact that they didn't mention, I hope they retcon it. But then right after that, we got the terrorist or one of the terrorists, or rather, you got Lex Luthor's henchmen firing and killing a bunch of guys, and then you have Superman coming down and doing, as Deadpool called it, the superhero landing, right on cue. I was actually waiting for Deadpool to say superhero landing.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to this, Superman lands, and then he saves Lois and drives that guy right through the wall. I don't think he killed him, but it was still
it's a little bit of character building too between Lois and Superman, because he kind of gives her the look, and she's like, okay, she knows what to do. She lets go, and then he takes off with the dude. A little bit of development there, as I noticed. So.
Yeah, and also a foreshadowing of many more saves to come in the rest of this film.
Yeah.
So
first of 3 times that Lois gets saved.
Don't worry, guys, we counted for you. So. Then moving on, we got now we're in the courtroom, and now it's turning more now into a political film where they're accusing Superman of. Or rather, we have this woman from that town was it in Africa? Is that where they were?
I'm honestly not sure. I think they said it.
Okay,
but I don't really remember.
Whichever town it was from, you have that lady in there, and she's accusing, of like a thunderous noise coming down, and like all the dead bodies are around. I think she said some were her family members. I could be mistaken.
Yeah.
And then Senator Finch what was her quote? She was talking about.
Well, basically, she's saying that she thinks Superman killed all these people, which I don't really get because they're all dead from bullets, and Superman doesn't really use bullets. Maybe she doesn't know that, but still. And she says, "I don't think he bows down to anyone, not even God." And then Senator Finch says, "Let the record show that we hold him responsible." So I mean, I get it sort of, but I thought it could have been executed a little bit better. At least.
Because if I was arguing for Superman, I would say I understand where all you are coming from. You understand if he doesn't do anything, like especially in the Zod battle, for instance. I know we're talking about a different, but I'm just saying if he doesn't do anything there, we're all dead. So I get it. It sucks taxpayer-wise what we have to pay, but you got to look at the positive and the negative side here. We're all dead and we're not complaining about anything. So it just, I understand where they were going, but I think, like you said, better executed.
They're trying to set up the whole, is Superman good? Should we like him or not thing, which I thought was a great part of the movie. But just that particular scene where she says, he killed all of these people, like, when he obviously didn't. It's like, how does she know that it was him? Or, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's more of a nitpick, but you're
right.
Like you said, it would be. They could have done a little better job executing and explaining. But moving on, next scene we got Lois and Clark, rather in the apartment, in the bathtub, where she's explaining about the hearings are going on and like they're accusing you of killing, and he's like, "I don't care, Lois. I don't care."
What was I supposed to do? Not say or let the woman I love die?
I agree. And but I like how she did come back with, "I'm saying thank you, but I'm also saying there's a price to pay every time you do this because people who are against you they can use stuff like this."
And she even says I don't know if it's possible for you to be you and still love me, because I don't know if she's saying because he has too much to do or because she'll always be in danger and he has to worry about her. So
exactly. I think you pointed it out right there. But I thought even
though she's right.
No, I know a lot of people have used that scene saying it was a bit forced. But look, most scenes between Clark and Lois in this incarnation has Clark saving Lois, so I thought it was a cute scene.
Oh, I actually like the scene
yeah,
between them.
well, yeah, I thought it was cool, just or cute rather, and building up more romance, more chemistry with them. Seeing them in a scene away from him saving her, seeing Clark and Lois by themselves together. I liked seeing that. So I wish we could have gotten maybe 2 or 3 more scenes, not in a bathtub, but just 2 or 3 more scenes of Clark and Lois together, where he's not Superman and like not saving her, just where they're talking, building up more chemistry between themselves. So I love those scenes between them. So I just would have liked a little more. That's all. Then we got, this is one of my favorite scenes. I love this scene. The scene where Batman first appears, where we see, I gotta tell you, Ben Affleck, I think he's my favorite. Him and Michael Keaton, it's so close. I love them both, but
I think Ben's a little better. I mean, it helps that this is a newer age of movies. There's much better action, but like even his Bruce Wayne acting is just great. I loved all of it.
As I always say, it's all subjective, but I love them both so much. They're both my 2 favorite Batman, and Kevin Conroy is right there beside them. Now, moving on to the scene. I love the theme of the scene, the devil, and then we got 2 cops coming in, and we see the Gotham PD on it, and then I was thinking in the back of my head, where's Commissioner Gordon? J.K. Simmons, where are you? But
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I know. Soon. So then we got the cops walking in. They see the women downstairs, and they're being they're trying to let them out, and they're like, no. They're like the devil's here. He's still here, right? And or the devil saved us, but he's still up here, you know. And then we hear the bad guy like shrieking in the background, and you can tell like he's being messed up. And as we find out, Batman brands this guy, and that is awesome, by the way, how he brands him. But then when the cop comes in with the shotgun, I love the way Zach uses the camera with Larry Fine, the way they're just zoomed in slowly.
And he's like perched up on the wall.
But even though Batman's not going to harm the cop, the tension and the feeling like there's a devil in the air, and the theme of that scene. A little bit of
horror mixed in there.
The horror element of that scene, I was like, this is Bat. And when Ben Affleck directs his own Bat, I want a lot of that kind of stuff infused, that devil theme, that horror element a little bit. And
I like the movements he has too, where he like kind of flies across the wall and he goes up. Yeah,
perfect.
Very Batman.
That was like you just said it perfect. It was very bad. It felt so organic. It felt like again, just like out of the comics or out of the animated series, how organic. Because a lot of the times in the other films, which I still love, like not Batman and Robin counting, but still the other films. I rather like it's a little clunky in the suits sometimes when you're watching, but it's okay. It works in those films. But when you're watching this, you're like, he moves so well in the suit, just so organically the way he moves, just like Batman. So couldn't have said it better myself.
So and then after that, it shows Bruce and Alfred in the Batcave.
I love those.
And it shows Alfred kind of fixing with the voice modulator or whatever, and it's basically them talking and bantering and Alfred saying how he never gets out and he needs to stop being just Batman all the time. He needs to focus on himself a little bit.
Well, also, too, Alfred kind of gives, like, the whole foreshadowing, or rather the whole reason of why Batman, kind of kills in this film. He says that's how it starts, the fever, the rage that turns good men cruel. Like, and again, I like how they did put a little mention into why Batman kills. Like, he's had enough. Robin's dead. Aliens are here now. Like, I'm done with this gutter trash. I've had enough. Like, I get what the film was trying to do. I just would have liked more emphasis on it. But anyways, I got to tell you this. Like, I think this could be my new favorite version of Alfred even. I love the way Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons, I love the way they speak to each other, the way they work off each other. It really feels like they have history together, and they've been working together a long time.
And they do, because Batman's been Batman for 20 years, and Alfred's a little bit older too, and it's a little bit different take on Alfred. He's not like the butler or whatever. He's more like
badass.
He's like mechanic kind of. Yeah, no, he's super cool.
And also he takes over the drone when need to be. No, he's I mean, not to say the other Alfreds were not involved, because the Michael Goff Alfred, he did the signal with the penguins, and then the Michael Caine, helped with the cowl and all that and assembling the suit. No, they're definitely involved, but just the way this one, he was much heavily involved. And
he was his right-hand man, basically.
Yeah, and again, just I love the way they speak to each other, and this just
Alfred's is always ripping on Bruce too. Yeah, always.
But
it's
also
funny.
that dry dry British humor. I love it. It's so perfect and Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons, they have such great chemistry, and it just, again, feels like they have so much history together. And every scene I'm watching of them together just amps me more up for the solo Batman film.
Oh yeah.
And then what amps me up even more is Ben Affleck's directing it. Like, oh my God. And of course, Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck are writing, as Ben Affleck hinted to recently. So I'm just super duper hyped for that film. I can't wait. So after that, after Bruce Wayne speaks to Alfred in there and they talk a little bit, then we go right into, I believe, Clark Kent. He's making some eggs, and then he sees on the news that Batman has been branding criminals. And this sets off the motivation for Superman for the rest of the film on why he wants to stop Batman, rather. You know, that he's branding people and he's working outside of the law.
Right. Well, it also shows on the news that they say that this brand basically, like,
it's a death sentence.
It's a death sentence in prison. Like, the inmates are killing whoever comes in with that brand. So it's basically like Batman is killing people and Superman doesn't like that.
Yeah, and again, I love that angle. It's good. I just maybe add a little more that Batman has killed some guys on top of that, and that's Superman's extra motivation for. I just would have liked just a little more time. That's just me nitpicking, but just a little more.
Like you said, it's a little nitpick. We understand his motivation, but it could have been played up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm saying. But I did like the angle that they did take. I just would have liked a little more played out. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so now we get introduced to Lex for the first time. He's playing basketball really, really awkwardly, I might add. He does not have a clean shot at all. But
you should work on that shot, man.
But yeah, we see Lex for the first time at his place, LexCorp, and he explains how his father was the Lex in LexCorp. He actually references his dad a lot in this movie, so I'm wondering if this is in fact like his dad is the original Lex Luthor or not. It's not really mentioned, but like you said,
no, I have to believe so, and we're not gonna get too deep into that. But just adding on to that scene, then we got Senator Finch, rather played by Holly Hunter. Now, the reason she's there is Lex is explaining how they found some kryptonite from in the city, rather from the Battle Metropolis, and they've been testing it on Zod. And when they test it, they see that it weakens his system, and that they can create blood and all that stuff. So basically, he needs what's it called?
He needs an import license in order because he wants to start making it weaponized into weapons and stuff, and he needs the approval of the senator. So he calls her in, and basically, in this scene they do a pretty good job explaining about kryptonite, how it actually does affect these Kryptonians.
Yeah, and also, too, Lex does make a little hint and a mention about the metahuman thesis, because she says, is this about the metahuman thesis?
Yeah, and then they foreshadow that a little bit.
Yeah, they do talk about it a little bit. They don't go too much deep into it, but they do make a mention that Lex is the super genius behind that uncovering, so... Then moving on, we move into Wally now, the man who, was crushed his legs, and then Bruce Wayne had pulled him out. He's now in a wheelchair. His legs have been amputated, so he's basically... I could be wrong. I believe he lost his family in that.
Yeah, I think they died. So
he's
because they show a little picture of him and he's putting it by the monument.
He's a security guard, but I believe his family was somewhere in the building. I guess while he was working or something like. They didn't go into detail, but so he clearly has lost his family. So now he feels beyond. Not only did he lose his legs, he lost the most important thing in his life, his family. So he feels double depression there, and he's not a fan of Superman clearly, and he goes to the I believe it's the location where the building came down. I think
it might be. It's where the Superman monument. The statue that. And
I could be wrong, but I believe that's the location where the Wayne Tower, where one of the buildings went down. Him and Zod, or something. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But
somewhere in the city.
Somewhere in the city where one of the buildings went down. Clearly. So he's there, Wally, and he gets on the hand of Superman, the monument, and then he starts spraying False God, I believe.
Yep.
And then immediately we cut to the Daily Planet, and then Perry starts giving out headlines and. Look, I don't work in, and I know this is a nitpick. I don't work for reporting or like an LA Times or something like that. And he gives Clark Kent a sports assignment for writing for a Metropolis football game. I would think you'd have sports writers for that, because when I read the LA Times, they have certain writers. That's a nitpick, but just whatever. But when they did mention that he was going to go cover the Metropolis football game, I thought that was going to be showing him going actually there, doing some reporting, and then maybe meeting Victor Stone, who plays Cyborg, because Victor Stone is a football player. So I thought maybe that was I know they filmed the football scene. I saw Zack Snyder on set filming it, so I know they filmed it. So maybe that's in the extended cut.
Yeah, maybe that'll be in the extended.
I'm not sure, but it was cool they mentioned it. I just wish we could have maybe seen it and then seen Victor, so we got a little hint of him.
Yeah, another cool Easter egg could have been there right there. So then we see Lex Luthor talking to one of those other senators, and he's saying "What's on your wish list? What do you need?" And he basically says that he wants access to the Kryptonian ship, and he wants Zod's body, and he wants access basically to everything. And it seems like that he has to have him in the palm of his hand because he has that little Jolly Rancher. And he just puts it in his mouth. I don't get if that was for comedy or what. I didn't quite. I mean, I guess I get
agree with you, but just again, for people saying this is not a fun film, I like the humor in that scene. There was definitely attempts of humor, which we're gonna break down for sure. But I like the humor in that scene. Again, call me a nitpicker. I just didn't understand why Superman left the Kryptonian ship there after the destruction of Man of Steel. And he snapped Zod's neck in that subway or wherever the location was. Did he just give the government his body? And again, if they would have taken it from in the Dark Knight Returns comic, where Ronald Reagan is the president, Superman works for the government. And like, if they would have taken that angle where Superman works for the government, I would have been like
Superman, not Clark Kent.
Superman. Superman, and maybe they could have used the angle he feels guilt, even though he saved the world, he feels guilty about the destruction of Metropolis, and now he's going to work with the government. But either way, if they would have had him working with the government, me as a fan right now, I'm not nitpicking question. Why did he leave the ship with them? Why did he leave Zod's body? Because if he's working with the government, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. He works.
Yeah, I mean, these are little things that could improve the story. It's hard to say that.
I just didn't get it. That's all.
But
I know. It's nitpicks.
But I do have to say that scene where Lex is talking about what he wants, and they first play Lex Luthor's theme.
I like it.
It's a very stylish. I mentioned this in the spoilers review too. It's a very stylistic scene where you see him kind of just like going into the place where the ship is, and he's going down in the elevator, and his hair's flying everywhere. I thought it just painted Lex really well. I really enjoy Lex Luthor in this movie. I know that's not a popular opinion.
Yeah, guys can rip into me, and I
thought Lex was actually really good in this movie.
And he is Lex,
except for a couple scenes.
And he is Lex Jr. And look, like you said, it's not the popular opinion, but I enjoyed his take on it. I know it's not the Lex from the comics, but they did say he's Junior, so. And again, I enjoyed it. I didn't mind it, and I thought he had great lines in it. And I thought Jesse did a good job.
A lot of really great lines from Lex in this movie.
I enjoyed his performance. Sorry, guys. So
tell us how much you hated Lex or loved Lex in the comments, please. Let us know what you thought about him.
And as we always say, it's all subjective. If you hated him, hey, I'm not going to argue with you for sure. I just personally enjoyed it, and I thought Jesse did a great job. My personal opinion. Now. Really sick scene. We got Bruce Wayne it's kind of like a Fight Club scene rather, and just the brutality, even though it was not a major fight in this movie, just that little action right there, that brutality, that fight, that was like, dang.
And I don't know if it meant something, but like, he whispered into the guy's ear like he knows this one guy's weakness, and he's like, oh, thanks, man. And he beats the hell out of him right there.
I think you just pointed out there, it's to show that Batman he's one of the greatest fighters in the world, and obviously he's the world's greatest detective, so obviously he must have noticed a detection of weakness in his fighting, and he told the guy really quick.
Oh, and like, I think the guy who was following Lex Luthor's guy was betting on that other guy.
Yeah, actually, too, that's a comic book character, too. That's KG Beast. So that was really cool seeing him.
Lex's henchman, right?
Yeah, and that guy actually, he was in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, in the elevator scene. You see him get beat up. He's one of the henchmen. He's also in some other scenes in that film. But I thought it was cool how he was transferred over to this from Marvel to DC for that guy. So, but yeah, that actor, and speaking about KG Beast, then we go in the next scene. Obviously, he lost money because he threw the money on the guy who lost. And really quick, just going into this, I love the scene, how Bruce Wayne is doing some detective work. He's cloning his cell phone. He's speaking to the guy in Russian. Awesome, great scene. Yeah. It shows Bruce Wayne's depth and how that he doesn't need to use Batman only to get things done. So I love it. Me as a comic book fan, I would have loved for that scene, since Zack Snyder was painting so many comic book references. Use Matches Malone, which is an alias and disguise that Batman uses. When he's disguised, he puts like a little mustache and he has like a Brooklyn, New York accent, I know, it's terrible. My bad, guys. Either way, I would have loved, maybe, again, that's nitpicking. I just would have loved if Zack Snyder added, rather. It didn't bother me at all. I love the scene. I just would have thought would have been cool if Zack added Matches Malone.
Maybe in the extra cut, we'll see.
Or maybe in Ben Affleck's version, in the solo, in the solo Batman film. So then moving on, we got Perry White in the boardroom, right? He's speaking with Clark, doesn't he say in that scene? That's the scene where Clark says, this bad vigilante, he's like raining on he's
trying to convince Perry to let him actually cover Batman versus sports that he cares nothing about. So
yeah, and then Lois runs into the scene. She's got a bullet from the scene in the desert. One of the bullets were Lex Luthor's henchman. I believe it was either KG Beast or one of the other henchmen. It went into her diary, I believe.
Her journal or whatever.
Yeah, her journal rather. And she pulled out the bullet, and then she says to Perry, "Look," and he's like, "It's a bullet. So what?" And she says it hasn't been found on any. There's no bullet. There's no such bullet that exists. So it has to be some kind of a cover up. So he says, "Go ahead. You can go fly to DC." And then she's like, he's like, but he goes, Coach, and she goes, Economy Plus, Coach. I thought again for a
It's just
movie that's
comedy, it's
deemed not
funny.
fun. I thought good humor right
And
there.
I thought it was cool showing how Lois is actually doing some detective work herself. You know, she's not just some damsel. She's actually trying to figure things out. All right, well, now we have the scene where Senator Finch goes over to Lex Luthor's house, or I guess his father's house that he owns
Great
now.
scene.
But yeah, she basically goes over there to tell him that she's going to block the import license. And that's when you kind of see Lex's dark side a little bit. Another great scene from Lex that I really enjoy. He says, you know, the red capes are coming on. But then when he's like doing the little galloping, like with his fingers on the table.
And his mannerisms like,
No, yeah, I mean, it's not like jumpy. I thought it's like kind of pretty menacing, and he looks pretty evil. And he talks about that painting where, you know, it shows man above and devils below. But he's like, you know, it really should be flipped. It should be the other way because devils come from the sky, basically referencing Superman.
Yeah.
And
devils don't come from down below, from the down below. They come from the sky above.
Right, and they also kind of foreshadow what's going to happen later on when she's talking about, you can call me whatever you want. You can call a bucket of piss Granny's peach tea, and that was a little foreshadowing as to what's going to happen. You know, in
There's
the capital.
a lot of foreshadowing in this film.
Yeah, no, this movie actually does a really good job setting up a lot of little things like that you may not notice the first time necessarily, but when you go back and really watch it, like really good setups. I thought.
Yeah, moving on to the next scene, we got Bruce Wayne. We got a dream sequence, one of many dream sequences in this film. There's a lot. So now we got Bruce Wayne walking into his parents' graveyard. Now we as the audience don't know yet it's a dream sequence. But I love the music playing. We got to just mention really quick. We love the music in this film by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. We are very sad and really upset to hear, but we understand to hear that Hans Zimmer has officially retired from doing superhero films. He said now he's done. And it's understandable. He's done The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He did the Dark Knight trilogy. He did this. He's done a lot. And Man of Steel. He's done a lot. I understand. I'm sad because I love all his music. Even though I hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I love his music or at least his main theme for Spider-Man. So I'm really going to be missed.
Well, I'm just hoping that they're actually able to use some of the themes that he made for this movie. Like
get Danny Elfman back. Get Danny Elfman. Well, I love Junkie XL too.
But they've already established like the Justice League kind of theme song. Lex Luthor, if he ever shows up again. I mean, Batman.
But just really quick, now back to the scene. Blood starts pouring down.
Blood's black.
Yeah, and we see that it's Martha Wayne, and it says 1981 again. Excalibur, that's the year it came out in 1981. And then all of a sudden, a bat comes out and bites into Bruce's neck, and then he wakes up. But really, really quick, to me, the Easter egg for me, when I saw that bat pop out, it really reminded me of the Man-Bat, Dr. Kirk Langstrom. He was in the animated series and the comics, also in the recent game Batman Arkham Knight. Really cool character. Look him up. So to me, it really reminded me of Man-Bat. So I'm gonna look at it as my movie version of Man-Bat. So
yeah, sure.
And then we cut right to Bruce Wayne waking up. He's got a naked woman under the covers next to him, and then he immediately as he wakes up, he drinks like it was some wine. I love the scene, the music in the back. It's like a piano playing and such a light tone piano theme.
It's such an awesome scene of his house too, like right on the water.
But the music is telling me how haunted this man is, and like he's got crazy dreams. He's got clowns. He's got to fight. Clowns like the Joker are killing his partner. He's got aliens to wear. He's got a haunted. His parents were murdered.
And he's wearing them down after 20 years.
It really is, and this music was so beautiful and subtle. I love it, and the beautiful cinematography again by Larry Fong, and how beautiful the scene was shot by Zack Snyder. How they're on the lake. I love that. I want them to definitely go into some explanation on Wayne Manor being burnt down, because I'm kind of curious about that. I love the location and how when how they have the we're gonna go into about the Batmobile going down the lake.
Right.
So that's really all cool. I love it. Okay, so now we go into Lois Lane. She goes into the bathroom. Now she meets Harry Lennox's character. This is the secretary. Now, if you remember him, he was one of the military guys from Man of Steel, and he actually announced at Comic-Con in 2013 Batman v Superman coming together. Zack Snyder introduced him to the panel, so just really fun fact there. Now we got Harry Lennox and Amy Adams speaking, and she's trying to tell him about the bullet. And I love, again, a little added humor where he's like, with balls like yours, you belong in here, because they're in the men's bathroom. I just thought it was an interesting little scene and a good little jump start to Lois's investigation on getting the secretary on her side, because after the events of Man of Steel, you gotta believe he's on Superman's side. So and then he kind of told her like, stop trying to build a conspiracy and making a halo over your head and Superman. So I thought it was a cool little scene.
Yeah. So then we have Alfred goes over to Batman, who just gotten out of bed, and he's like, I hope the next generation of Waynes doesn't inherit an empty wine cellar. Alfred in this movie.
Not that they'll be.
Exactly. Yeah. Alfred just loves to rip on Bruce because
I love it. I love it. It's so funny. And then he ends up giving Alfred the coffee when he's after he was drunk.
Yep.
Just again, I love their chemistry, the way they talk, and then they start going over. So you think Lex Luthor is the white Portuguese, right?
Yeah. They start basically strategizing about all the detective work they've been doing.
I'm telling you right now, again, the investment I have from the way they work together, strategizing, it makes me want that solo Batman film. I love all their scenes. I know. It just makes me love all their scenes too. The way they work off each other. It's such great scenes.
But yeah, Alfred basically informs Bruce that he's been invited to Lex Manor, that he doesn't have to break in as Batman. He can just show up as Bruce because he's been invited.
Then after that, we go right to the Batcave, and then Batman is staring at the Batsuit because then he walks over and he looks at the Robin suit, and we see on it says, "Ha ha ha ha, the joke's on you, Batman." Clearly a reference to the Joker, and he has murdered Robin. And now Batman has kept the suit with the graffiti on it. In my opinion, Batman clearly, or Bruce Wayne, keeps this as a sign of his failure to motivate him more and what he has lost and what he can't, what he fights for. Right. So it's just like in that again, Ben Affleck's acting in that scene, the way he's his visual aid and the way his face. He's just that's why he's my favorite Bruce Wayne and my favorite Batman. Without even saying something, you can understand what this character is thinking. Phenomenal acting, and he's by far, for me, the best part of this film.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I'm sure we'll see it in Suicide Squad, but I'm assuming that Batman's already put away the Joker, and that he's in jail for right now.
Last thing I want to say about Suicide, it's going to be very interesting to see where it is in the timeline. I got to imagine it's after this, because in one of the trailers, they said Superman was. That's what Amanda Waller says, was, not is. Was like a beacon for these villains. She did not say Superman is a beacon. So I got to assume that's after his death. So that, you know what I mean?
I got to think that they're not going to be skipping around. That it's going to be pretty consistent.
But they do. But as we've learned from these two films, and again, Zack Snyder is not directing Suicide Squad. That's David Ayer. They do like to show flashbacks in a lot. So
yeah, that's cool.
So, definitely we'll see what it is. But I got to imagine the timeline's a little after this film. But we'll find out in August for sure. So... then we immediately go to. It felt so much like James Bond when he. I think it was an Aston Martin. I think I could be wrong.
It was some really
if you're
nice
a car expert and I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Correct me in the comments. But I think it was an Aston Martin. I love how he flipped it off, and then he drove right away. And then we see Wayne Manor. It looks like it's burned down. I couldn't really tell, but it looks like it was burned down. And then we cut right to Bruce entering into to the museum, and then rather Clark Kent is
who's that?
Who's that? Oh, you must be new here. That's Bruce. Again, call me a nitpicker. How does Clark Kent not know who Bruce Wayne is or what he looks like? I'm just saying, you're a reporter for the Daily Planet. I would think you're going to know the richest and most famous guy, at least what he looks like. All right, so now we got Bruce Wayne actually walking into the, I believe it's a museum, or it's an expo or something that Lex Luthor is holding. And rather, when Lex Luthor gets called up onto the stage, he says Vicky to the woman, thanks Vic, or something like that. That is clearly Vicky Vale he's speaking to. Last time we saw that character portrayed on film was by Kim Basinger in the '89 film directed by Tim Burton. So that was a cool little Easter egg, seeing Vicky Vale there for a sec.
When Lex walks by Clark, he hears this weird kind of ringing pulse, which I don't know if it's foreshadowing, but it's kind of just so like Superman knows that he must be some sort of villain or something.
I don't know.
They didn't really reference it, but I I definitely picked it up.
I heard it too.
And so Lex gets on stage and he gives this whole spiel like, oh, blah blah blah, open bar, blah blah blah. So and during that time, Bruce, is talking to Alfred on the comms, and he's telling him to go downstairs, and Superman picks up on that because he can hear it. And so that kind of tells me that he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
I love the way they were using, first of all, I love the way Batman and Alfred are doing their detective work. And then I love how in the background, Superman's listening through all that loud noise. He can hear Alfred in the comms. Such a neat scene. Again, call me a nitpicker. When Bruce put the military hacking device on, I thought that was cool. But why is there no security?
Yeah, no security. And then even when Lex's, assistant...
Mercy Graves, Zack Snyder, I hate what you did to this character. God, you...
Anyway, she sees him down there, and Bruce is acting all drunk. Oh, I think I had 2 drinks too many. I like your shoes, blah, blah, blah.
2 martinis too many, yeah. Oh, no, I love
But then she just leaves them, I thought she would actually escort him out,
Yeah, no, for sure. And then also he says, I like your shoes, and it's clearly she's wearing heels, so Bruce is pretending to be drunk. Again, I love that little pretending to be the drunk playboy. I love those little subtle jobs by by Ben Affleck was great. By the way, I love the actress who plays Mercy Graves. They just barely gave her any lines, and then we'll get into the scene, but they just killed her off.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch the Superman, the animated series, which is a great animated series, not as good as Batman, Spider-Man, or X-Men, but it's a great animated series. Mercy Graves is a very important character in that, and she is very close with Lex Luthor. Not like boyfriend-girlfriend close, but just friendship-wise, they're very close. So it's just, I didn't, again, Zack Snyder killed Jimmy Olsen. He killed Mercy Graves. I just, does he not like Superman's side characters?
Just doesn't care about these people, so.
I don't know, just.
So, yeah, after Mercy leaves, and then Batman's like, I can't stay here, Alfred. And Alfred just says, go up and mingle with maybe some Metropolis woman will make an honest man out of you.
In your dreams,
In your dreams, Alfred. Yeah.
Love the humor. For people saying there's no humor in this film, I challenge you. You're wrong.
It's not a very happy movie, but there definitely is humorous moments for sure.
We've gone over at least 5 or 6, and I know we have at least a few more humor moments we're going to go over. So for people saying there's no humor in this film, you are completely wrong. There's definitely it's definitely not a comedy, but there are humorous moments spread throughout the film. You just got to look out and listen for them. That's all.
So then we cut back to Lex's speech, and it's kind of an awkward speech, sort of an awkward dude.
I enjoyed it though.
He's talking about Zeus and like all these gods have power, and he says the line, "The bittersweet pain among men is having knowledge with no power," and I thought that's a very fitting quote of Lex.
That would be paradoxical.
Exactly, that kind of sums Lex up in one sentence.
Thank you for coming. I know people. I understand why people weren't. I get it, and again, it's all subjective. And it's not the Lex that my favorite Lex Luthor, like Smallville, and Michael Rosenbaum, and the Lex Luthor in the animated series, voiced by Clancy Brown. Those are by far my favorite incarnations of Lex Luthor. Not even close. And again, being that this is Lex Luthor Jr., not Senior, I really love Lex's, especially this awkward speech. This just defines him in a nutshell. Just thank you for coming. Like, that's just who he is, and I get it. Not everyone loved it, but I enjoyed it a lot. So I thought it was a great scene, and I again, just getting more into speeches about why he hates gods. He thinks they're privileged, and he cannot stand it. Why doesn't he get this? It's building.
He's jealous.
More, yeah, it's building more to Lex's character and understand why he does not stand.
He probably gets the most development out in this whole movie. I mean, he has like so many great scenes.
Yeah, there's only one nitpick, which when we get to it, I'm going to go into.
Which for me actually is right now when. But
it's not about his character; it's about the writers. But we'll get.
Yeah,
into that.
it's when for the first time we see Clark talking to Bruce, which is a great scene between them, and they're going back and forth, and Clark asks him,
that scene.
So how do you feel about the Bat Vigilante in Gotham? Your civil liberties are being
trampled on
in your city, and then
don't believe everything you hear, son.
Yeah, so, he's like, oh, the Daily Planet. Do I own that one, or is that the other guy?
Yeah, it was a great, and I love seeing them talking, especially without costume. Like as Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, they're alter egos. I love seeing them talk to each other. And again, I thought I would have just liked a few more scenes of them talk. Whether in costume or out of costume, a couple more scenes of them talking because I really enjoyed the scenes where they're working together.
You gotta feel like Clark knows that Bruce is Batman, but I'm not sure if Bruce knows that Clark is Superman.
Yeah,
but
Superman definitely.
Well, yeah, because he heard Alfred on the comms.
He definitely knows. I even would have loved an X-ray scene when he's got. They really didn't have Superman using X-ray in this film at all. Only in Man of Steel when he's a kid, he can see that the teacher with the X-ray, but they did not use that at all in this. And they didn't use his wind breath either, or when he. Yeah. So it didn't really use a lot of his powers, but anyways, I love the scene between them. It was a great scene. The tension between them, like you could feel it. So that's why I think Jason and I, like, even though I don't think he fully knows that Clark Kent is Superman, like he's got that's why the tension between Bruce, like how he's like acting towards him. But I don't personally think he knows. If you disagree, tell me why in the comments. But I don't personally think they know who each other are. Or rather, I don't think Batman knows who Clark is. Clark definitely knows who Batman is.
And then he says, maybe it's the Gotham in me, but I've had enough of freaks just like clowns or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen
obviously referencing the Joker. So. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was great. And then Lex shows up. He's like, boys! This is the one scene maybe that I didn't like as much
Bruce
from
Wayne
Lex.
meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love bringing people together.
Oh, that's a nice script. You should not pick a fight with this person. Well, I mean, it wasn't terrible.
It was a little on the head.
Not my favorite.
That's it. That scene right there. And again, you can blame more Zack Snyder even, saying, look, that's a little too much there, Jesse. But that scene I will not defend him on, or that moment, rather. I will not defend him there. But whatever, you know.
It wasn't terrible. It's just like everyone's bashing
No, I
Lex,
agree. He
and,
wasn't
and
great
if
in
this
that
is the
moment.
scene
I
that
agree,
they're all
though.
looking at, I understand because this was also in the trailer too. You know, they already had this idea of him in their head.
I think that scene should not have been shown in the trailer because, like you said, it built up people. Maybe, and again, people still might have hated the performance. We're not saying don't show this in the trailer number 2, and you would have loved Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
No. We're not saying. All Jason and I are saying, this trailer showing that particular moment, because we don't even defend that moment because we thought it was a little too much. We're thinking that, and even it built it in my head. I thought, oh God, is he going to play the movie like this? When I watched it? And if you actually watch one of the very first video we ever made, which was the trailer review of that, I actually was complaining, like, he sounds like the Joker or the Riddler. You're like, too much, dude. So maybe that built in people's minds, dude, he's going to do this the whole movie. And I thought that one scene, it was annoying and over the top, but overall, I still thought he did a great job.
And that trailer, more than just this scene, hurt this movie big time. It hurt it a lot.
And I think that even might have made some critic, and I'm not saying that should have been a reason why critics should have, we gave this film a really good
pretty
rating.
solid score.
Yeah. A very solid source. So, but what we're saying is that we think that also the fact that you showed so much could have gotten some critics like, oh, I got to review this. You already showed me the movie. I don't know, you know? So
there's no way this movie deserves a 29%.
No, not at all. 65% minimum to me personally, but that's, again, my opinion. I mean, it's not a 28%.
With all the negatives in this movie, there's just so many good things. Even just the action and the camera work, that's enough to get it over 30%. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and then we get to see now Bruce sees Diana Prince, rather Wonder Woman. He sees first he sees her when he's speaking to Clark, and he's a beautiful woman. Don't quote me on that. I love that line. And then or gorgeous girl, something like that. But either way, then he goes downstairs to get his hacking thing because rather when he was talking to Lex and Clark, Alfred told him that it's done, it's decrypted. And I love how Clark makes that face like he heard Alfred did the thing, and then we see when he goes downstairs, he can't find the hacking device.
And Clark has followed him down the stairs.
Oh, right, that's right. Good call. Clark is actually following him downstairs. Again, use the X-ray vision to watch him down. You don't have to clearly follow him, but then we needed Clark to get into the kitchen where he saw on the news there's a little girl at the Day of the Dead festival is trapped in a building, and so that's why he stops following.
Cool little shot of him like pulling off the tie. That's very Superman.
Very I love that shot, and then he flies away, but also we see Bruce Wayne looking for the military or the decryption device, and rather he can't find it, and then he sees Wonder Woman walking away. And then he follows her out, and then she drives away. And then it was a cool moment right there, just seeing Bruce walk after, and then like when he unhooks his shirt right there because he was a little upset.
Yeah,
really cool moment. Again, Ben Affleck has some great moments in this film, even when he doesn't say anything, just from the way he visually shows his face and the way he acts. It really feels Bruce Wayne-esque to me. Yeah. That's all.
And then after that, we see Superman saving the girl from the burning building, bringing her back down to her family
in slow-mo, kind of with the Hans Zimmer,
and the cape waving in the wind, and it's kind of a nice scene where, it's a nice scene where he brings him to the family, and then the whole entire crowd like surrounds Superman and like touches them, and it's kind of just showing how people like really do appreciate Superman. They love him. Is like not a savior, but he just saves people, and they're very grateful for that.
Absolutely, no, you could see from yes, he is a god, but they don't look at him in that moment. They say, "Thank you. We appreciate what you're doing. This is amazing. You're incredible. You did not have to fly all the way over here to save this little girl. We appreciate what you have done. Thank you." It was just it didn't have to be much dialogue in that. There was no dialogue rather in that scene. It was a beautiful scene, and Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel music in the background. I loved it. It was really nice.
It was great. And then right in from that scene, it goes into that little montage of like all the news reporters on CNN talking about that's some good about stuff. Superman. This is like real life. Like if there was real life Superman, there would be people on both sides of the issue. Like, should we be for him? Should we be against him? And it's couple cool little cameos, like Neil deGrasse Tyson throws in some good quotes. He's talking about it changes our whole perspective about the universe and like where we stand. And
I love when one of the guys says, "Look, we just need to accept he's just a guy who wants to do the right thing." Yeah. Watch the Battle of Metropolis. Actions speak more louder than words. He saved you guys in the Battle of Metropolis. Like, I get it. There's a debate and all, but actions speak louder than words. You're not dead. You're not prisoned right now. He's continuously saving, and we see that montage, right, of him saving.
Yeah, he's people. Like saving the rocket ship that blew up and blowing the ship out of the water.
Yeah, and again, that's why I would argue if this was happening in real life and people were arguing against him, like, He saved the world in that first battle. He's saving people here. He's saving people there. What are you upset about?
And then the one person's interviewing Senator Finch, and he says, "Must there be a Superman?" And she says,
There is.
"There is." And then he shows Clark basically watching all of that, and it's just him feeling very conflicted.
And he's questioning what if he's doing is the right thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't really know what to do. So I thought that was a very powerful moment from the Superman angle. I really like that a lot.
No, I agree, because Superman is doing the right thing, and he's still being questioned. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Yeah. So no, it was and again, the powerful moment was the way Henry Cavill expressed just when he was watching the news. Like, it was just like you said, it was a great moment for the character. Loved it. All right, so next we see Wally is in jail. Now, really quickly, again, a nitpick, because Zack Snyder was showing so many comic book references and foreshadowing for the future of the DC universe here. I would have loved if he made this character Wally John Corbin, aka Metallo in the comics, because he's already lost his legs. I just thought it would have been a great twist around, like, after everything that happens in the courtroom scene, when we're going to talk about soon. I would have loved if, he becomes Metallo after that. It would have been great, and like Lex rebuilds him and stuff. So I thought it was a little bit of I'm not saying that hurt the film. It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it could have been a cool little Easter egg or a cool little thing.
That's all I'm saying. But now we're cut into the jail scene, and we see that he has been bailed out of jail. First time I saw it, I thought it was Bruce, because Bruce was backing this guy and everything, and he saved him. So that's what I thought. And then we see that Mercy has taken him to Lex's home. So now from Mercy, we immediately know it's Lex. And we got another great quote in there. Lex says, "I want to help," or he says to Lex, "What do you want?" He says, "I want to help you stand for something." Clearly, it's because the man's legs are amputated. It's a humorless little joke.
There's another cool little scene with Lex too, where he like spins around on the chair and he stands up. He's like, "Oh,"
I was like,
presenting the
I thought
chair.
it was Professor Xavier. It's like wrong universe. No?
Yeah.
So, but no, I agree with you. It's again more humor infused in the film. I like it, definitely. And it's not bashing over your head humor. It's just subtle little humor. Definitely, yeah. I agree.
So then we're back at the Daily Planet, and we see Perry kind of getting on Clark for not writing about football. And
you're a sports columnist, Perry.
It's also a quick little product placement where he mentions Dropbox, which is not in your face, but I thought it was a cool little thing. But and then Clark is like, "What? Poor people don't buy papers? We need to be reporting this." And they have that whole little spat back and forth. And I think that's when Lois comes in too. Or no, it's not.
No, I don't think so. But then right after that, it's just them talking about the column and stuff. And then right afterwards, we go right into Bruce Wayne and Diana. They're at a museum now, and she sees like a fake, was it a sword or something? And then they talk about how it's really in a sultan's house, or over his head in the sultan's room or something. And then I love the chemistry and the banter between Diana and Bruce. For me personally, again, if you feel I'm wrong, for sure, I felt there was definitely some sexual chemistry between them.
A little bit.
For sure.
They get all nice and close, and he's kind of holding her tight.
But I thought their chemistry together, Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot, I thought they worked really well together. Mm-hmm. And then she's talking about how Lex stole a picture from me or it belongs to me, and I was looking for it, and she says I was not able to decrypt it. So and then she says,
"You little boys have no inclination to share. I just borrowed it."
And also I like the quote where she says, "Is it stealing if you steal from a thief?" Really cool. And then she also tells Bruce that she's put the decryption device back into his glove box in his car. So I thought it was a really cool moment right there. And also, I've met a few women like you. I don't think you've ever met a woman like me, for sure. Yeah, I really like Gal Gadot's take on that. Not only Wonder Woman, she was awesome in all her scenes as Wonder Woman. I enjoyed her scene, and we didn't get a lot of it, a ton of them, but just that scene right there, I loved her take right there on Diana Prince, and just gets me more excited for the Wonder Woman film that's coming out next year, being directed by Patty Jenkins and also Chris Pine. So I'm looking really forward to that.
So then we're back at Bruce's house, and he's decoding all the information that he got, because he obviously has a little bit better equipment for that than Wonder Woman, so he is able to decode it. So he starts that process, and then right after that, it goes into this dream sequence.
One of my favorite scenes in the film was visually stunning.
Oh, it looked great. It's like a post-apocalyptic Gotham metropolis, like just world.
It was scary.
And he looks like, he's in this cool little like hood and like, jacket and stuff.
It's like Mad Max.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting take on a Batman suit, but I thought he looked great.
I loved it.
It shows this truck coming, and he's like trying to get some kryptonite. I'm
sorry, just really quick. Before the truck comes, and then you can continue, we see the Omega symbol, which is clearly a reference and a sign to Darkseid. You know that? And Darkseid also, he's got the Omega beams. That's his symbol. So
there's a couple of references to Darkseid in this movie, so we got to assume that he's got to be coming pretty soon.
Absolutely, for sure.
So yeah, that truck pulls up, and it looks like he's trying to get some kryptonite, but it's just a green light bulb, so it's obviously a setup.
They're tricking him.
So he starts going to town on all these guys, and these people wearing, like, there's like a Superman patch which is another reference to the comics too, because in the comics, Darkseid is controlling Superman,
yeah,
right?
Injustice Among Gods, yes.
And so Batman kind of looks at that as, he doesn't know necessarily it's Darkseid, but he knows that Superman is being evil at that point.
Yeah.
So he starts like wailing on all these guys. Great action scene. I thought it was really
awesome.
cool.
And then also we get more references to Darkseid. We see when Batman gets knocked out, that is a parademon. I've seen the movie 3 times now. Clearly a parademon. So I love, again, those are basically Darkseid's minions. So again, more Darkseid references without actually showing Darkseid. So
or even saying anything.
And again, really quickly, I would have thought that would have been the perfect tease. Even though we're gonna get to that in the end, I would have thought that would have been the perfect tease and end to the film with a little after credit just showing Darkseid. I guess people would have said you're just like the Avengers showing Thanos at the end, but whatever. If you're copying good stuff, who cares? So I just thought it would have been a tease since you're referencing Darkseid so much. But I thought that was great, finally seeing a parademon on film. Then immediately after that, Batman, or rather Mad Max Batman, Nightmare Batman, he wakes up on the chains, and he's got a couple guys who are his comrades or his friends who work with him. They're next to him, chained up as well. And Superman with that, as we said, that superhero landing, and he looks pissed off
and badass.
Yeah, no,
and all the
all
the guards like bowing down to him too.
Again, more Injustice God stuff right there, where he's working for Darkseid. So he's just walking, and then he just kills and heat visions 2 of the 2 guys next to Batman. I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen Superman just murder like that on screen before, and it was intense. And he says to Batman, or rather, he rips off the mask. It kind of reminded me of Bane ripping off Batman's mask in Dark Knight Rises, but he just rips off the mask off his head, and then the black makeup is just gone. And always in Batman movies, the black makeup is gone. You understand why, but that's just a nitpick. But then you see Superman say to Batman, she was my world, and you took her from me. Again, he's got to be referencing Lois Lane, and that's what has caused him. She has died. Batman, in some way, I don't think he said you killed her, but you were in some way responsible for Lois's death, and that's why he has now chosen to work with Darkseid rather than siding with Earth. Clark Kent he's poisoned, and as we find out later in the film, Lois is his world. When he lost his world, he didn't want to be a part of Earth, and now he's going to join the the apocalypse that's coming and be with Darkseid. So, from that dialogue and that scary moment, it made total sense to me.
Yeah, and then Superman kind of puts his hand just on Bruce and just, does something basically killing him. He wakes up out of this dream. And then
into another dream.
It seemingly is another dream where he sees the flash right in his face, and all his papers are whirling around everywhere. There's all this wind.
Yes.
And he's like, Bruce, she's the key, right? Lois is the key. That's what he says. Which I mean, I guess thinking back on it makes sense, but I was a little confused at first about the meaning of that, like how Lois is the key.
Yeah, and then also he said, "Am I too soon?
Yeah,
I'm too soon." But you were right about him.
Yeah, you were right about Superman. Is what I'm assuming he was saying.
And then look for us. About the Justice League.
I'm not quite sure what this means. Where he says you were right about him when at this time he's thinking that he hates Superman. So if he's always right about him,
that's definitely up to interpretation. I would just say
maybe he's talking about something else.
Flash, he can, as you know, if you watch the TV show or you study the comics, he can run through time. He's that fast. So basically, he's from the suit he's wearing. This is not the traditional Flash suit that I've ever seen. It looks like a post-apocalyptic suit that he's wearing. And he's clearly come from that dark.
Future.
He's clearly come from the future, and where Batman just was, that nightmarish future. And he's warning Bruce Wayne right now, you need to make sure you keep Lois. She's the key. Make sure she's okay. Otherwise, you're right about him. He's gonna be evil. So maybe that's what it was. But I love how Flash came from the future and warned him, and we know for a fact that really happened. It was not a dream, because as Jason just pointed out, the papers were flying in the dream, and then right when he wakes up, you see the papers are still flying around after he's woken up.
That confirms that
it was real. The Flash was there. We all knew it was real, and he was talking to him, but some people thought it was just a dream. Some people thought Bruce was dreaming about. No, that is the Flash really came, and the papers flying just really confirmed that.
Yeah. So then, right after that happens, the decryption is finished, and so he's able to get into the files, and I'm pretty sure that's where he sees the picture of Wonder Woman, right?
Yes.
The picture of Wonder Woman from 1912.
Yeah,
or something like
no,
that.
1918, and we're gonna assume that picture is literally. I'm assuming it's taken in the film. So, but continue.
And yeah, you see Chris Pine in the picture too.
They make a notice and a focus to make sure we see Chris Pine. I noticed him
because
right
he's
away,
obviously
but-
going to be in the movie.
Yeah,
so.
he's playing Steve Trevor, so who's a love interest of Wonder Woman. So definitely looking, as we said, we're really looking forward to that film. So it was cool, and then they built up that music.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they start getting that Justice League theme. So yeah. Okay, so we see Clark at his desk at the Daily Planet, and he's delivered a package, and it's all these pictures of one of the inmates that Bruce put away with the brand on his chest, and it shows like all these pictures of him being beat up and eventually killed, and on the pictures it says
Justice.
judge, jury, executioner, and then justice ? Obviously we've kind of figured out that this is Lex sending Superman these pictures because he kind of wants to create this fight between them.
Absolutely.
But he's basically setting up Batman in that way. I mean, it is true. I mean, these people who were branded from Batman are dead, so it's not like he set that up. But I mean, maybe he did. We don't know that. But
no, that's Batman branding people.
Yeah.
But no, like you just said, Lex is the one sending those notes, and he later confirms that when he's kidnapped Martha. We'll go into that scene, and again we'll go into that. But Lex definitely confirms it in that scene. So I thought that was a really, again, adding some more motivation for seeing why Superman has to take down the Batman. I thought that was a really good moment right there. Then immediately we go to Alfred and Bruce talking, and then Bruce kind of tells him that the white Portuguese is not a man. It's not Lex Luthor. It's the location of a ship where a huge chunk of kryptonite that Lex Luthor has come into contact with is on that ship, and he's got to, and basically him and Alfred start talking and saying about Superman, saying he is not our enemy, and then Bruce says not right now he's not, but 20 years in Gotham, how many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? I mean.
And he's even part of that too. Like, he's not all good anymore. He's killing people now. So.
I'm very happy you said that again, even though I nitpicked on getting mad that Batman has become a murderer in this, or rather a killer when he feels it's necessary. They are making some references and talking about it, how many good guys are left, including me. No, for sure.
And it is another little foreshadow to later on in the movie, right before Batman and Superman fight. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, and then we get a really quick scene after that of Lois and the secretary, Harry Lennox, again from the Man of Steel. We get them talking again about the bullet, and she's just basically saying, look, trust me. If you don't trust me, throw away this bullet, all right? But please test it out and see if I'm lying, all right? And so he takes it, and then it's a very short, quick scene. It's just got to build and establish, that whole subplot.
Yeah, just showing that she gave him the bullet to look at.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that.
And then after that, we cut to an epic scene of Batman sitting on top of that crane, looking down at the docks of Lex and his henchmen.
The music in the back, and look, Zack Snyder. Just really quick, Zack Snyder. He can capture a shot.
That is his strength for sure.
It is beautiful, that shot of Batman holding that tracking gun in his hands, and the music in the background. And that, I gotta believe that's the Junkie XL Batman theme music in the back. Love it. It's not as iconic as the Danny Elfman theme, or even Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard and the Christopher Nolan. I love it though. I love the way that scene is shot. Absolutely. Continue.
It's great. But yeah, then he basically shoots that tracking device on the truck, and then he comes with his is it the Batwing or Batmobile?
No, it's the Batmobile. And sorry, really quick, if you look at the thing, it says Nicholson Pier or Nicholson Avenue or something on the dock they're at. Clearly a reference to the first Joker, Jack Nicholson, and the greatest Laker fan ever. Continue.
But yeah, he basically just starts going to town on these guys, trying to get the kryptonite back.
Yes.
And he's just kicking ass. He's
killing ass.
The Batmobile in this movie looks epic, super sleek.
It does.
It's got those guns on it. I love the Batmobile. I don't know about you, but
oh no, I love the Batmobile. It's definitely one of my favorites. As I said, what I like about this Batmobile, it feels like an infusion of both the Tim Burton Batmobile from Batman '89 and Batman Returns, and also the Christopher Nolan, the Tumbler from Dark Knight and Batman Begins. It feels like an infusion from front to back. So I loved it. It's a great Batmobile.
Yeah. So he's chasing down all these guys, and he turns his corner, and all of a sudden you see
a
great shot. You see Superman just standing there. Yeah.
The music is
you
beautiful.
See Superman just standing there, and you see Ben Affleck.
Brakes.
No, but you see his face just like.
Shit!
Yeah, so he slams on the brakes and just smashes the Superman who doesn't move, and he just goes flying.
I love like a pinball machine just flying away. I'm like, that's so funny.
And then you're inside with Batman in the Batmobile, and you just hear him walk up onto the car and just rip open
and then he says to him, "Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it." consider this mercy.
And I loved all those lines. I just wish there was more between them. Like, I want to see Batman go back at him and at least, like, talking shit or, like, even a little mini, like, not fight, but, like, something more. I thought that scene was great, but, again, nitpicking. I just want to see a little bit more between them.
If I'm gonna nitpick, I think Superman just let someone who killed some guys get away, but that's nitpicking again.
Well, yeah, but this is other than the fight at the end.
He did give him a warning.
This is the only time that you see them in costume.
I know.
The only other time that you see them.
No, for sure. Again, I would have liked more, as you just said, but either way, it was really the shot of seeing that when Batman rises out of the Batmobile. Even though we'd seen it many times in trailers and TV spots, still to see it on the IMAX screen, the big screen in general, I've been waiting my whole life to see Batman and Superman on that screen. The shot of them together, I was freaking out in my seats.
The cinematography in this movie,
Larry Fong,
excellent. And seeing these two iconic characters in this light, where they're angry and they're fighting,
amazing. Just to give Larry Fong his credit, he's not the guy who did the terrible shaky cam in Man of Steel. Yes, I always love talking about that. Larry Fong did 300 in Watchmen. You can clearly tell this man's a genius, and he should be. And I hope he's the one on Justice League Part 1, not the Man of Steel guy. So absolutely, you're right. He captures the shot so great, for sure. What's next? And
we forgot to mention too, like when Superman shows up, he kind of stops Batman from pursuing these guys with the kryptonite. But it's okay because Batman shot the tracking device. So after that scene, it shows basically the Batmobile going back into the Batcave. The little thing opens up in the water and you just go straight into, it's
now, if you remember, we've seen the Batmobile going back into the Batcave a few times now. In the Batman 89, it's with Vicky Vale. He's going through the woods. 6 sequence. In the Batman Begins, it's through the waterfall with Rachel when she's, dying. 6 sequence. But the way he goes down into the water and then he's going through the thing and then parks his car and then he puts his track. It was just the most badass Batmobile entrance into a Batcave. Like, again, the way he goes into the water, it's just so badass. It's so Batman to me. I loved it.
And there's a really cool shot, too, of him getting out and he takes off his cowl. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah, his black makeup is gone.
In his Batman, the eyeshadow's gone. But
since Batman Returns, that's a running thing.
In his Batman suit, but without the helmet, without the cowl on. I thought that was a great shot. And Ben Affleck just goes to the computer.
He looks badass without wearing the mask on. I mean, with the mask, he looks extra badass. But even without it, he still looks so badass.
And he sees that the tracking device has gone straight to LexCorp, as probably he suspected. So, okay, so it shows Senator Finch on TV basically saying that Superman needs to come to court to either account for what he's done or just talk. But he calls her over, and then we also see on the other side Lex has finally gotten his big piece of kryptonite. It's a quick little scene, but they kind of intertwine those together.
Yeah, no, and again, just the visual style of the scene, I loved it, and I love seeing Lex's look and the way the green glows into his face.
And he has that really really excited, happy
that
look,
eccentric
but
look,
menacing at the same time.
Yeah, it's eccentric and menacing at the same time, for sure, definitely.
And then Superman, it shows Superman like in Kansas at his mom's house, just talking
back in Smallville.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's saying how he's so conflicted, he doesn't know what to do, and then she just says, "Be their hero, save them, or don't do any of it. You don't owe this world anything."
And she's also telling him what I completely agree with in logic that no one who's against Superman seems to think about. Actions speak louder than words. People, respect what you do, and clearly that's not the case in some of the people who are against him.
But he's also questioning that because he's doing whatever he thinks is right, and people are still against him. They're still questioning him. So he's very conflicted.
I thought it was a good scene, again, between Diane Lane and Henry Cavill. It was like, again, you feel their history and that they really feel like a mother and son, even though he is an alien from another planet.
So, then it shows Lois again with the secretary, and he's obviously done some research about the bullet, and he says it came from LexCorp. So Lois has now figured out that that Lex Luthor is the one who set up that whole thing, and she's like, well, how did they know Superman would show up? Oh, because of me.
So that means he clearly knows the identity of Superman, too, because it's not public knowledge that Superman is dating Lois Lane. That's kind of private. She's dating Clark Kent.
And it's what she's been thinking about all along. It's like, how can you be you and love me at the same time? It just can't really work.
And now her greatest fears have come to realization.
Exactly.
And again, we're just nitpicking. I just still don't get how the bullets... I wish they would have just explained, like, maybe they're... I don't know, but I just don't get how bullets could frame Superman.
Well, it was just also very convenient too how just one happened to hit her book and she had it. It's for the movie. It's fun. Like we said,
it's just a nitpick.
More nitpicking. We've been nitpicking a lot about this movie, and I mean there are a lot of things to nitpick at, but overall, I think this movie's pretty good.
It is.
With a few little things here and there that just kind of hurt it. But anyways, moving on. So then I think we cut to the Capitol and we see
Bruce Wayne's watching.
Yeah, Bruce is watching on the news, and he gets this. I don't know where it was, but he gets all of Wally's past checks that Bruce had sent out to him with all the stuff written on them.
Yeah, and yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I gotta think that once Lex enlisted Wally, to be on his side, or whatever, that maybe he took the checks then, or if Bruce has had them all along, he just never seen them.
Yeah, I was confused about that in the timeline because he was speaking. I mean, again, they had made it clear that he'd been sending that. Those are months worth of checks. Those aren't weeks. Months. So that means
him like you're blind or all this stuff.
Yeah, so I was confused about the timeline on when those checks were sent. But again, maybe call it nitpicking. I don't know, but just it felt a little out of place. But the idea behind it felt right. It just the timing. I just didn't understand that. But
it shows Wally going into the courtroom and they're interviewing him, and he's like, well, this is what Ward does, and he's trying to be against Superman.
And again, all the shots of when we see of Ben Affleck in there, I love his facial reaction, his facial expressions. Again, how pissed off he is, when he's reading this, and that face he gives, when we're in the Capitol now. Lex and Senator Finch are speaking to each other, and he's basically just saying, I'm just going to tell them the truth, how you blocked my import license to have this weaponized kryptonite, rather. So he's basically just being truthful and honest with her, and then she's like, "Oh, I've lived in a farm before. I can handle a pig." I love that line she has, and then and then also too, he finally finishes the quote that he tried to tell her. He said, "Do you know what the oldest lie in America is, Senator? It's that power can be innocent." Another good quote from Lex Luthor. So he's got a lot of good quotes in this film.
Yeah, and then I thought a really cool shot of they show the Capitol from outside, and you see Superman flying up above, and I thought it was just a really cool shot. It just reminds me of all the old Superman cartoons and comics. That's just how I pictured it in the movies, and Zack Snyder did a great job of making that shot happen. So
definitely.
Yeah, he comes down and he walks into the courtroom just looking super big. It's probably the biggest I've ever seen him. So he looks cool. So he goes up to the podium. And then this is one part. I forgot to mention this in our spoiler review. I just really, really wish that Superman would have at least said something at this hearing, this thing.
And then the explosion after?
Yeah, I thought he could at least say his piece about how, hey, I'm here for Earth. I'm trying to do the best I can. I can't be perfect, or at least something. And then, the thing explodes, and Senator Finch sees the little jar of Granny's peach tea, which I thought was a great touch, and she just knows something's about to go down.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I thought she was being poisoned. I thought Lex had poisoned her drink or something, and then
she starts stammering and
the look,
keeps looking back at it, and
but the subtle look she then gives them when she's like. And she knows it's about to explode.
And she sees Lex Luthor's chair is empty.
It's missing. She knows it's
a nice name
up.
tag. Obviously, you know who it is.
Yeah, but really quick, I really felt a lack of respect from Zack Snyder on the character of Mercy Graves. Again, she's a very big character in the animated series. And I just wish, and I understand what Lex is doing. He's sending in one of his henchmen, but that's not Mercy Graves. She's a very important and integral part to Lex, even though this is junior, not senior. But still, I really wish Zack would have kept her out of harm's way, because I liked having those scenes between them too. So it just really annoyed me that they killed her off in this.
And again, I wish just before the explosion, Superman would have been able to at least say something, and then have the explosion so no one else knows of what he said, but then we as an audience can at least kind of hear him speak on the matter and how he's feeling about it.
Right, and then literally right before Wally's wheelchair blows up, that's when Bruce looks, as the scene we were mentioning a little earlier, when Bruce is looking down, seeing Wally's writing all the, or rather now we know it's Lex Luthor, but Wally gave him his checks rather. And Lex Luthor's writing all these mean, terrible things about Bruce in there, and then the last one says, "You let your family die." And then the explosion, then Ben Affleck's facial reaction and his expression, how pissed he is. He's had enough. Even though that's completely not Superman's fault, he's had enough of Superman. He's done with it.
Yeah.
That's his final motivation right there over the top. But
yeah. And within the explosion, you see Superman's face just kind of just feels so bad that, the explosion happened. But we were talking about a little bit before, that look could have been, I feel a little more...
I blame more Zack Snyder on that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but more again, the look was still fine. Yeah, we're nitpicking. The look was fine. I just a little more oh my God, people died around me and I didn't stop it. I should have. That's all we're saying.
At least a little bit closer to what happened when he killed General Zod. When he twists his neck, that look was great,
perfect, right
so
there.
It doesn't have to be that much, but just a little bit more of that. You know what I mean?
No, when he screams when he screams after he kills General Zod.
Yeah, he should feel terrible that this happened.
I think that would. I'm not, and again, not copying just like that reaction, but something similar to that reaction would have been perfect and would have added more emotional gravitas to that scene. scene. I completely agree with you.
And so, like you mentioned right before, how Bruce saw that and that was his final straw. The next scene that happens is we see Lex going back to LexCorp, and there's bullets everywhere, and then he goes into where the kryptonite was, and you see the little batarang there. But I just really wish we could have seen this scene. Like, maybe this will be in the extended cut. That would be amazing. But, like,
I really hope.
I just think that's a missed opportunity. It could have been an amazing scene just showing off Batman's skills to the fullest. Like, sneaking into LexCorp, messing up everybody, grabbing the kryptonite. Maybe, we had talked about this before in our spoiler review, like, this could have been where he sort of, like, saw more information about all the Justice League people.
And then he emails it to Diana.
But I just thought a missed opportunity there because I thought that would have been a great scene.
No, I completely agree. The whole time Lex is inspecting, I was thinking, Zack Snyder, you're an action genius. Let me see this scene. I want to see it.
Because when we see it from the aftermath, it looks like a lot went down here. Bullets everywhere. The whole place is kind of messed up.
It looked like something spectacular went down from an action perspective.
So
and again, it would have been a perfect way because so many people have criticized the Dawn of Justice portion in this film, how they just, oh, we're seeing the Justice League through forced email. This would have been, hey, Batman broke in. He saw it. He sent it to Wonder Woman. Makes sense. This is why Batman now has the extra motivation to kickstart the Justice League on top of the warnings the Flash already gave him.
And like I understand, like he already stole the information from Lex's computers.
For sure. But that could have just been the Wonder Woman bit, and then he steals more from Lex at LexCorp, and then sends that to himself, and then sends it to Wonder Woman. I just thought it could have been done.
I just wanted to see the scene. So.
Oh, I agree. No, for sure. That would have been an awesome scene. Absolutely.
But right after this, it kind of shows Lois getting back to her apartment or wherever she's at, and she sees Superman on the balcony, and he's just so distraught, obviously, because of what happened. Yeah, and he says the line is what? I didn't see it because I'm afraid I didn't see it because I wasn't looking.
Yeah, and you can already tell right now Superman has so much. Not only did he have, I mean, because as we saw him, Clark watching the news earlier, he was already starting to doubt himself, like about doing the right thing. And again, now people are dead. There's
because
so much,
of him, essentially.
Yeah, and really, this time it was really his fault. Unlike the Battle of Metropolis, which again, you could
that would have been cool if they just shown using his X-ray vision. He sees the bomb
at the last second,
but it's too late.
Yeah, I would have loved. And then Superman's like,
yeah,
and then boom, explode, boom. No, you're right.
Because he saw Senator Finch looking, so maybe he looked around.
Yeah, so it looks like he was incompetent, but then he figured out the last second, and then that was it. So,
but he says like Superman was never real. It's just a dream of some farmer from Kansas. And then Lois saying, no, that dream of the only thing people have, and she mentions hope because that's what the S means from his planet, right?
And that's a big message and theme in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman in terms of Superman. Superman is a symbol of hope. So no, I love it, and I love how Lois is there to comfort him when he needs it most. That's why when people are saying I'm not going to argue they should have had more scenes together where they're building chemistry, but they have good chemistry together.
There's a few scenes there that are good.
They have good building block scenes. So
much better than any scene in Man of Steel. There is none of this in Man of Steel. Zero.
I still like their scenes in Man of Steel, but it definitely felt where they were now in love and kissing. I was like, oh, that was quick. But I bought it, but I didn't. I had totally understood people who were completely didn't feel that it was justified yet. It was understandable. So.
Okay, so now we have Lex having access to the Kryptonian ship. He's like cut off General Zod's fingerprints and put them on his fingers. I always thought like he could have just used his hand or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say just cut off his hand and stick it in the
whatever.
thing,
he did this cool thing that was cool. So then
he
gets in the ship and you see the little kind of floating robot things like from Man of Steel, and then the person who does that voice.
It's Carla Gugino. Now, if you know anything about Zack Snyder, she's in a lot of Zack Snyder films. She's also the voice in Man of Steel on Jor-El and his wife.
The same sort of like robot floating things.
Yeah, but just a Zack Snyder regular who's in a lot of his films. She was also in Watchmen and Sucker Punch. So,
and yeah, it says this ship contains knowledge from 10,000 different worlds,
100,000
different worlds, and Lex is like, "Good, teach me." And I thought that was cool from Lex too, because he's finally getting access to some of this power that he wanted. So, not even more knowledge, because he's already a Brainiac. He wants even more knowledge.
I felt it was too easy how they just gave him that information, but I guess through the fingerprints, it thought it was General Zod.
And he pushes in the little key.
Yeah, and that was General. If you remember from Man of Steel, they did do a good job setting that up and remembering the continuity. General Zod he killed Jor-El's computer in there, and he put his own Kryptonian key, and that kind of took away Jor-El, rather. So, no, they definitely put that in there. So, and the fact that General Zod came in, it made sense, actually. So, I guess that was too much of a nitpick on my part. But, no, definitely it was a cool scene, and also it gave us some exposition that we needed, like, Oh, okay. I wonder who else that Lex Luthor is going to be possibly talking to here, because there's so many different planets. So that
Right.
was a cool foreshadowing right there, I thought, by the filmmaker.
Yeah. And there is actually an extended scene now that's out on YouTube
Yes.
that we won't go into in this review, but it's on YouTube if you want to check it out. But
It's
it's
really
it's
cool.
more in this, around this time where he's in the ship and he's talking about different things. So
Right. Well, and again, we're not going into detail. It shows Steppenwolf, and he's one of Darkseid's minions, or I think it's his uncle even. And he's got 3 mother boxes, and it just shows where Lex is getting a lot of his information from too. So it was a really cool scene. Could have been infused in here, but
it'll
guess
probably
too
end up in the director's cut.
I would imagine if they
So-
released that, I would say so.
Yeah.
All right, then we get a really sick or rather a workout montage for Bruce Wayne. I was expecting, remember in Karate Kid, "You're the best around." I thought that was gonna come on, but anyways, it was a really cool scene. Like, Ben Affleck is. If you thought Henry Cavill was buff and jacked in Man of Steel, Ben Affleck just says, "No, I'm jacked and buff in this." So I thought it was cool to see that scene, like how motivated and how crazy he's getting, how bent into shape he's getting, because he's hell bent on killing Superman right now.
Yeah.
Or, he's hell bent on killing Superman, and also he's creating the kryptonite gas. He's creating the kryptonite spear. It's just a
He's
lot.
actually preparing.
Yeah, he's
I
preparing
don't
for
know
battle.
if they showed it, but did they show him actually like building that massive
The
armor suit
no,
that he has?
I
That would have been a nice
yeah.
opportunity here.
I
but-
think you're right. I agree with you. It would have been nice to show. If we're wrong, tell us in the comment section. But I believe Alfred was working on the head of the mechanical suit earlier in the film.
Mm.
But in the workout montage, I don't believe, or I don't recall Bruce like just quickly like ironing or torching the suit,
'Cause-
like get ready. No, it would have been cool.
Like it
if he
shows
would've-
him building the spear, but not really the suit. 'cause,
and
like,
hammering a tire. And stuff
right.
Like that.
Well, that's just because he's working out.
Yeah.
But right after this is when they show him for the first time in that suit. So I thought maybe it would have been a good spot to at least show it a little bit, but they didn't, which is fine. But just something that I noticed.
Yeah.
But then as this is going on, Lex brings in General Zod's body into the ship, into the water or whatever it is, and
Right.
puts some of his blood in it. And I guess there's some cryo chamber, or what did you call it? The
Well, yeah, there was the Genesis
The
chamber.
Genesis
It's where they they can form. That's
Kryptonian life.
That's it's basically at the beginning of Man of Steel, where we talked about how it's very much like the Matrix. They create life, and you're programmed. That's basically what he did with Doomsday. The computer was like mentioning to him how, it's forbidden by the Kryptonian Council, and then Jesse Eisenberg, Lex rather, says to her, "And where is the Kryptonian Council now? Dead, sir. Then proceed." "Yes, sir." So like I love how like, warning, do not do this. But I would have really, again, not even nitpicking. I think this would have been this is a missed opportunity for Chris Terrio and David S. Goyer, the writers. And talk about that now that Lex has put his blood in the thing. He will have control of whatever he creates now. Like, if he tells it to do something, it's going to do what he tells it to do, rather than trying to punch and kill him in its first moment. So with that blood, I just would have thought that was a perfect moment to say it's Lex has control. It's his blood.
or at least just have Doomsday know that he's his creator or something.
Yeah, it's not going to touch the creator or someone with his blood. It can sense his blood. It's not going to touch him. So I thought an easy dialogue opportunity. You could have had the computer. Now that you've entered your blood, you are in command and control of this being. Whatever, simple.
So it shows a little clip of everybody at the Daily Planet, and one of the assistants is like reading a headline.
Jenny.
Yeah, I forget what the headline is exactly, but it's like, if Superman didn't do anything to stop it, is he responsible for it? So they're kind of questioning it, and
They're showing both sides of the story.
And I think Clark is nowhere to be seen, and you see Lois is kind of feeling all distraught about it, and Perry's like, "Where is Clark?" Blah blah blah, all that.
Well,
So
Kent's still not here. I think
Yeah.
is what he said, right?
mhm.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I like cutting back to the Daily Planet. There was neat, but then immediately after that, we go right into we get Kevin Costner back on the screen now. Clark is now in self-exile rather, and he's in a mountain, on a snow mountain. And why he needs heavy clothes, I don't know. He's Superman, but anyways, he's on the top of a mountain, and then obviously he's having some kind of an illusion or dream because his father.
Semi-dream sequence.
Yeah, semi-dream, but he's clearly conscious and still awake, but it's kind of like happening beside him. So basically his father, Pa Kent, kind of goes into a story telling him how, he saved the farm when there was like a drainage, and then, the Lang farm also had the same kind of problem, and then he could hear all the animals that died and drowned and stuff, and like it haunted him, and then Superman was saying, do the nightmares ever, like, do they ever stop? He's like, no, but he's like, what made the nightmares stop? He's like, your mother. He's like, your mother was my world. She helped me see the good in humanity. Even at bad times, I still had your mom. I had everything just from her. So Even though I don't know if the scene was completely necessary because so much stuff is going on, I liked the message behind the scene saying, Superman, like, as long as you have Lois, like, as long as you have, she's your world, you know? I thought it was a beautiful moment. I like the scene.
Yeah, and it's just trying to reassure, showing him being reassured that he actually is doing the right thing. He sees the good in humanity through Lois, like it's her world and she's his world, so that he wants to be a protector of this world.
And also, it makes them both feel more relatable as father and son because the same. Even though I don't have superpowers like you, I felt the same kinds of issues you're going through, just in a different way. So I thought it was a really nice scene between them.
So yeah, Clark has his moment with his dad, and then we cut over to Bruce, who's in the graveyard with his parents. And Alfred walks up, and he's basically talking about how his whole legacy and like, I'm older now than my father ever was.
Line. And I also, too, I like that scene where Alfred's like, this is suicide. I don't, like, he's trying to talk sense into him. And I love those moments between Alfred and Bruce when he's saying, but he's telling him, this is my legacy. Like, criminals are like weeds, you know, if you pull them out, another one grows. So, again, great lines, good scene between Alfred and trying to talk some sense into Bruce. So it was a really beautiful scene. And I love the dialogue between them. It's a really good scene for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And after that, it cuts over to Martha Kent. She's done with her job or whatever, and she gets kidnapped.
And also, too, it shows Martha is sick. We see Nancy Grace on TV, and you know everyone's questioning Superman, and you can see the distraught in her face. She's sick and tired of seeing everyone question.
Turns off the TV.
Yeah, in disgust. She just turns off the TV, and then I'm sorry, continue.
No, that was it. She just gets kidnapped by Lex's men, and after that, it cuts over. You see Batman in his full iron suit,
that iconic shot,
he's looking up in the rain. It's so cool, and he has a spear, and he kind of puts it in the bottom of this building.
Right. We got some Easter eggs there. We got the Riddler logo, rather. The question mark is there, and also we didn't really clearly read it. There was something about the Joker was definitely written in there. We just
written on the side of the wall, when Batman's walking over. I couldn't catch what it was.
Yeah, it was either on the Riddler wall or the other side. I can't remember, on the right side. But it was definitely something about Joker. Also, too, that suit, that armored suit that he's wearing, right out of the Dark Knight Returns comics. That's the mechanized suit he wears to fight Superman in. So literally, it was a beautiful thing to look at.
Yeah, because he needs that huge thing
to
be even close to Superman.
It feels so much like Iron Man and RoboCop. I loved it.
And yeah, he after he places the spear down, he goes up top and he turns on the bat signal, basically to bait Superman to come in
to challenge him.
Yeah, and Lex sees that he's up on the top of his building across the river or across the bay.
Across the bay, right?
And he says, "The night is here." The night is here, and so he knows that his plan has kind of come together. His plan to pit those two juggernauts against each other.
Yeah. No, definitely, it was a cool little moment, and again, I like that little subtle line. The night is here, like this is all part of my plan. So definitely, it was cool.
The night is the night that we're happening, and like the dark night.
The dark night, exactly. So, no, it was a cool little
more clever lines for Lex. Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Okay, so right after that, Lex is clearly, he was talking to KG Beast, and KG Beast is like, he's just working rather as a lobby guy, pretending to be a lobby guy, and Lois is coming down the escalator, and she recognizes him because she saw him in the desert.
Yeah.
And she says, and also we can hear in the background, we hear the song playing, every time I say goodbye, I die a little. And then, Lois says to him, don't I know you? And then, again, we're going to go into this, but later when he's with Martha and right before he's about to kill her and Batman shows up, he says the song that was playing right before he kidnaps Lois, he says, every time we say goodbye, I die a little. I'm like, I mean, it was interesting. It was
interesting. I just little thing. Yeah, just like you said,
because he was with Lois and the one, and then he says it to Martha. But maybe it's because he was in his head. He was thinking about that song. I don't know.
Well, maybe because Lex's plan is to kill both of them. Like he's. We'll get to it in a second.
I just like that little reference from what he heard in the lobby a little earlier, so I thought that was...
Yeah, it was interesting.
And then they immediately take Lois from there. Believe it, immediately cuts right to...
She's in the helicopter flying over.
Right to Lex, and then he starts basically laying the plan down, saying that he's pitted them against each other, right? Or did he go into that?
He's just talking to her, and she's like, "You're psychotic," and he's like,
well, "That's a three-syllable word, too small for too small for little."
Yeah, and he basically says he knows the quickest way to Superman is a pretty little road called Lois Lane, and pushes her off the building.
And again, nitpicking.
And Superman, who has been missing for a while,
he's just randomly
right there.
And again, he is super hearing, but
no, it's totally playing into Lex's point. That's exactly how. If you want Superman, find Lois Lane. That's Lex knowing that he knows that Superman's going to come, and sure enough, he comes right away.
Again, call me a nitpicker. I just don't get how Superman, he hears Lois's scream and then saves her. Fine, I can buy that.
Third time.
Fine. But
in this movie.
when his mom gets kidnapped, he didn't hear that scream and come for. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
No? Maybe I'm nitpicking,
it's
but
convenient for the plot that he didn't hear
Yeah,
it, or that he did hear Lois.
I guess
but-
maybe somewhere else. I don't know. Just nitpicking.
So yeah, Superman saves Lois right away, puts her down. They have a nice little makeout session, But then he goes back up to Lex.
That shot of him flying up.
Oh, it was awesome.
So cool. I love that. And then just immediately, boy, do we have problems up here.
Yeah, and this is a scene where I can kind of see, like, I personally enjoyed it, but people thought Lex may have been a little too jumpy
Joker-y,
or too skittish.
Too
but
much like Joker.
But my thought is he's confronting this god, Superman, for the first time. He's got to be, even though he feels confident, he's got to be a little bit nervous, So, and Superman says, I'll take you in without breaking you, or something like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he says.
Yeah. And then Lex basically lays out his whole plan to Superman, like how he basically...
And then he tells him that you're going to go across the bay, you're going to kill Batman, right? And then he's giving him...
He's like, why would I fight for you?
Yeah, and then he's like, well, if you don't, then your woman dies. And he goes, Lois is safe on the ground. Are you? And he goes, I'm not talking about Lois. And then he shows her pictures of his mom and says, the only... the mother of a demon has to be a witch. Love that line. And then when you see witch across her forehead, and then you see Clark bow to his knees, or rather fall to his knees, not bow, fall to his knees when the pictures are falling.
Because he feels helpless.
Oh, he feels so helpless. I love that moment right there. And then again, I mentioned in the spoiler review as an Easter egg, when you see those pictures of Martha being tied up, really reminded me of the comic Batman, The Killing Joke, where Joker shoots and paralyzes Batgirl, aka Oracle, and basically he confines to her, he makes her paralyzed, and she's got to be in a wheelchair the rest of her life. And he sends Batman pictures of after he shot her. I mean, granted, Lex didn't shoot and kill Martha here, but it just really reminded me a lot of that. So it was a very tense moment. And when Superman's got his red, his heat vision, where is she? Like you can feel.
Nope, I don't know.
You could feel the how pissed off Superman was there and how helpless he was, because he's like, you can kill me, but Martha's dead. You can fly away, Martha's dead. Get me the head of Batman, and you can have her back. So he kind of put him in a no-win situation there, basically. So, and then Superman, now in the back of his head, he's got two scenarios. Either Batman can help me, or I have no choice. I have to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then just cutting to, now we go to, I believe, do we go right to Lois?
Yeah. Lois is getting out of the taxi, and he shows up, and he's like, I have to convince Batman to help me. Otherwise, he has to die, or some line like that.
Right.
And Lois is trying to convince him not to go, and he's like, "No one stays good in this world," which is sort of referencing what Batman was talking about before. So
right, and literally just right before that, we see that Wonder Woman was was watching on the news about the ship. It's electric. Its power is surging now, so she's got that in the back of her mind now, and she's seeing that. Also, too, right before that, we see that Martha has the timer, and she's being held hostage. So now we feel a lot of tension and a sense of danger.
Time is running out.
Yeah, time is running out, so we feel a great sense of danger for Martha in that moment right there. So I thought it was a good time to show that right there. Just to feel we don't have all day to do this. We got, again, there's only 34 minutes left. So I thought that was really intense right there to show the timer right there. So for sure.
Okay, so now we see Wonder Woman basically opening her email that Bruce had sent her, and it shows her the picture that she was looking for. You are the picture, is what he said. So I know you're Wonder Woman.
Or who are you?
Yeah,
right?
who are you? He says
because she's still she has not aged in 100 years. It's freaky. So no, definitely, and she's a warrior in this picture. So it's cool. And then obviously we get our introduction, or our preview of the Dawn of the Justice. We get to see first we see the Flash. He's in a convenience store, and there's a robbery going on. The convenience store cashier is being held at gunpoint. And we see our first look, or rather our second look of Ezra Miller, because he'd already been with Bruce Wayne, and he just quickly stops the guy while drinking his milk. I thought that was really cool, and we see the lightning go off. I think that was my favorite.
That was,
that
was
the
my
coolest
favorite
of
all
one.
Of those. Yeah, I agree.
Then the second one, you want?
Yeah, Aquaman just kind of shows him underwater.
Jason Momoa.
And there's the camera in his face, and he hits it away, and he speeds off.
The supersonic speed in water, I thought that was really well done. I mean, yeah, he was going a little slow towards the camera, but the way he supersonics off into the distance from the other camera, I thought that was super sick.
And then after that, we had the cyborg one, which I also thought was cool. It shows... No, you didn't like it?
It was okay. I felt the effects in it were not... For a movie that's $250 million budget, I felt it was more and not getting on... I love the CW superhero shows. It felt more like a CW superhero show, effects-wise. It didn't feel like a $250 million budgeted film. Now, in the scene, we got Joe Morton, a.k.a. Miles Bennett Dyson, from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The man cannot get away from cyborgs and Terminators. He's playing, he's playing Silas Stone, his son Victor Stone, who, we made reference earlier, we thought was going to be in the football game that Clark was going to be covering. He's obviously been in some kind of a terrible accident. He's putting him back together. And then we see the mother box come alive at the end. That's, again, more dark side technology. The mother box comes alive and then,
you see him start,
it transforms onto him, and then he turns on and transforms. So obviously we're gonna, and I believe that's being played by Ray Fisher. He's an unknown actor. It's gonna be interesting to see that, because I love the character of Cyborg, especially in the animated series, Justice League War, and the animated movie Justice League War, and some of the other ones. He's awesome, such a cool character. He's got so much knowledge and information. And such a cool character. Can't wait to see him more in depth. So I did look. It was a little forced, and I think our suggestion of going into LexCorp would have been more subtle and more part of the story, not like, oh, we're seeing previews for the next movies. I still thought they were cool scenes, but I can't argue with people when they say it was a little forced, because it was.
I mean, just like, okay, she's opening email files and just showing scene after scene after scene. This is in one little thing. I would have liked to see it maybe a little more spread out, just like throughout the movie. It would have felt less forced.
Right.
And it could have been a real world application. Like, you already saw the Flash, you didn't necessarily have to see him again.
Right.
But I mean, I guess I don't know how they would have referenced Aquaman underwater, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's all good. But
the whole email thing I thought was a little bit forced.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else,
way.
So.
Then we cut to the Daily Planet. And Lois gets special privileges when she asks for a chopper to go to Gotham City.
Well, she tells Perry it's not for a story.
Yeah,
like he knows it's important.
It's a personal matter. So no, we get to see the sympathetic side of Perry, where he says, "Fine, you can take it the roof."
And you see their relationship too. Like, he knows that this is serious for her, so he gives it to her.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was they had to show a reason how Lois gets over to Gotham. So
right. So now we finally have our showdown. Batman.
What we paid to see.
Batman v Superman.
Only took an hour and 50 minutes to get here.
And I love the shot, the cinematography, where you see Batman looking up, and you see Superman up top, and then you see Superman up top looking down at Batman. Just two sides of their perspective right before they're about to clash. So
yeah, and then Superman does his superhero landing, and then he goes, "Bruce, I was wrong," and then he walks, and then the sonic boom waves go off, very reminiscent to Dark Knight Returns. And then all of a sudden he says, "You don't understand. There isn't time." And he goes, "I understand." And then he just throws. Batman pushes him, and then all of a sudden the guns start coming out, and then he lasers all them.
That was sick. The laser vision.
Oh no, it was the whole fight was incredible. And then he just really quick, he punches Batman and then throws him up at the building, throws him into the bat signal, and then the whole kryptonite gas thing. Now, really quick, I mentioned this in the spoiler review. I'm telling you, this would have added so much more of an emotional pull to this scene and added more depth to the resolve happening so quick. After Clark or Superman throws Batman into the bat signal and says just one more time, trying to reason with him, because he'd already tried to reason the first time and or twice rather, just one more time saying, "Look, Bruce, Lex has my mother. I need your help." And then Batman says something, "I'm not listening to you. I don't care what you have to say."
At least say something about his mother.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, and then Batman could say, "I don't care what you have to say," and then shoot him with the kryptonite. Okay, Superman's tried to reason with him 3 times now. Batman's just continuously fighting at him. So Superman now has no choice. He's been forced.
And in that scene earlier, I know they have to fight because that's the movie, but Superman keeps advancing on Batman, where all he has to do is just stop and try to say his piece there. Because
he's angry at him.
He is angry, but if you keep advancing, he's got to be playing defense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't blame Batman for not listening to him. Whereas if he hadn't been advancing, then you could say, well, Batman just didn't want to listen no matter what. So.
I gotta tell you, to finally see this on the big screen, them fighting. I know some people complained about the length. I thought it was the perfect length, actually. And after rewatching it the third time, I was like, if this would have gone on much longer, I feel like people would have complained, "This is too long of a fight. Let's cut it down." And people did in general. Zod and Superman.
I was going to say,
this fight is too dragged down long.
Yeah, complained in Man of Steel.
And now in this, it's too short. It's like Zack Snyder can't win. So, but either way, I thought the fight was the perfect amount of length. Some of the subtle looks, like how also when Bruce or Batman kicks him with the boot, and then you see the boot, like how he holds him, right from the Dark Knight Returns comics. The kryptonite gas.
I thought that was really cool too. The gas, because the whole entire shot is like very dark and like
Yeah.
kind of bluish, but then when you see
Yeah.
the gas, it's very green and it's very contrasting.
And
from
that
the
is
picture.
right from the Dark
And
Knight
I
Returns.
love that.
And that's right from the Dark Knight Returns comics, that the kryptonite gas. But it's Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, who shoots that with an arrow, and he's fighting with Batman. But they obviously change it around this level.
And I love the part after they've been fighting for a while, and he shot him with the gas where he's pummeling him in the face.
Oh, his look.
But then the effects are wearing off, and Superman's just like staying
like,
strong in his face. He's basically back to being strong again.
Shit.
And yeah, and you see Bruce's face just like,
oh shit.
she's like, no, he knows it's coming, and then Superman just throws him into the ground.
Oh no, I love the fight was
the fight
awesome.
the fight was
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it was. I just would have liked a more emotional, a little more emotional gravitas to it, like and that what I suggested added with the Lex talking to his mother about Lex as my mother. I just feel it would have added even more depth and awesomeness to the scene that was already great.
And I also thought it would have been a little interesting to have like sprinkle in a little bit of dialogue, not just silent fighting back and forth. Like at least one or the other. I don't know. We keep nitpicking at this kind of stuff, but it's just some things we wanted to see from this movie that we didn't quite get, like more dialogue between Batman and Superman.
And then Batman's he's shot him a second time with the kryptonite gas grenade, and throws him down to the bottom of the. It looked like he was gonna crack his neck for a second.
Oh yeah, he like throws him
but
down.
He's got him on his back and throws him down the back, and then he batarangs down.
Yeah, that was sick. When
I
he
love
shoots
that
the thing.
shot.
It was awesome.
And then he wraps it around Superman's leg and throws him around.
That was
and
cool.
then he has his foot over his throat. And he cuts his face, giving him a scar right there with.
Oh yeah, and he says that line that's really cool. He's like, "You're not a god. You were never even a man," or something like that.
Yeah, it was a good line.
Yeah.
And then you hear Superman in his last dying breath, "You're letting him kill Martha." And you have to say Martha again. If that little added stuff that I'm saying Batman would have put he's got your mom. I can't. And again, I understood the scene, what was going on. Yes, their moms have the same last name or the same first name, Martha. But what I was viewing it from Batman's perspective, he lost his mom. He lost his Martha. He's not going to let that happen, even though he doesn't agree with everything that Superman does and doesn't believe with his ideologies. He knows the feeling of losing a mom named Martha. That's a triggering point for him. You got to understand. Your mom's name are not Martha. You did not have a mom that was brutally murdered like him. So we don't, I don't want to get in the psychology of what he felt. I did feel the resolve was a little fast, but you understand the triggering point. Again, if they would have added what I say, I feel it would have had the resolve being fast. It wouldn't have been a nitpick.
And I agree with you. I just thought this is the part where the movie sort of dropped the ball a little bit. Like, I get the whole Martha thing, but for that to be the reason why they resolve, like, I thought they would have resolved because, they see Doomsday is coming and destroying the city. They have to stop him or something like. Or Lex Luthor even, but like
timer, so
no, I definitely get it, and like if your suggestions maybe had been used, it would have been a little bit better. But yeah, basically he says you have to stop Martha. Why did you say that name? And Lois runs in. He's like, it's his mother's name, so he kind of makes that connection, and he backs off a little bit. So that's where the resolve happens. Superman gets up, and he's like, all right, Lex has got my mom, and Lois actually comes in and says. The kryptonite ship has been going haywire. It's drawing in power from the city. Something's going on there, and Superman is trying to say, "I got to go see my mom." And Batman smartly says, "No, you got to go to the ship because you're the strong one."
Yeah, of course. It's kind of showing Batman already, like and again, not comparing Marvel to DC. It's showing Batman like as a Captain America.
Yeah, he's the tactical leader.
Exactly. He's the tactical leader, and he's saying what to do. And I can't wait to see more of Batman directing the Justice League when they're in real battle situations.
And it's sort of trying to build the character between Batman and Superman, because Superman has to trust Batman now to save his mother.
Yes.
So that's putting a lot of trust into someone who you're just fighting about 5 minutes ago.
Sure.
But
and then Lois takes the spear. Do we see her throw it?
No,
you
see her see it, and she picks it up. And later on in a couple scenes was where she throws it into the water a little bit unnecessarily, but we'll get into that.
But yeah, then Batman. I mean, again, I don't care. He somehow gets into the other suit. We didn't see him change
into his Batwing.
Yeah, I'm not saying we need to see him change, but he just gets into his other suit. And Alfred informs him that, remember how we saw earlier in the film, he cloned KGB's phone. So Alfred says, I've tracked down the phone you cloned. This is the location where Martha is being held. So that made total sense why they had the location. Right away, because he cloned the phone. Makes total sense location-wise. So then we get... did it go right to the action?
Yeah,
okay.
you see...
I'm sorry, just adding to what I had already said, KGB's right before Batman shows up in badass style. KGB says to her that music line we were just referencing, every time we say goodbye, I die a little. So interesting, right before he was about to kill her, because the timer was about to go out. And then Batman as a badass shows up in the Batwing.
Sick
I
ass
love that
action scene.
Batwing, by the way. That was a great Batwing.
And Alfred takes control of it and drops him off, and he just goes to town on everybody in that warehouse or wherever that
hand-to-hand combat scene. Oh, it's second or third favorite scene in the entire film. That is the greatest and best Batman hand-to-hand combat scene of any live-action film I've ever seen for Batman. I've never seen an action scene like that. It really felt like the Arkham games, the way he's organically moving from one guy to the next, just free flowing. He did like a thunder punch that he does like in the game where he a grapple punch like he does in the game.
Yeah, and he like throws those things on the guns and they all
guns,
explode.
And they can't, and he's forcing another guy to shoot the gun another way, just like in the video games. I love, and the way Ben Affleck, phenomenal. They need that. Ben Affleck, keep that guy for your solo movies.
Yeah.
The way Batman moves is so organic. It felt like Batman. If you watch the earlier films, I love Michael Keaton is now probably my second favorite Batman, but he's right up there. The way he moves and some of the other Batman move, they're really cool fight scenes and all, but they're more clunky. I mean, in the Nolan version, and my criticism of the Nolan version, you cannot see a lot of times, especially Batman Begins, you cannot see the action, what's going on with Batman's fight.
A lot of cuts.
Yeah, this one, you can
see everything.
The knife hitting off Batman's cowl, the bullets going off Batman's cowl, the knives going into and choreography was, this is Batman. I was thinking in the theater, this is the best fighting scene I've ever seen for Batman. Then it goes right into, and I know some people were like, why didn't KG Beast just kill Martha when Batman well, he needed her for leverage. If he kills her, Batman's just going to kill him anyways.
Yeah.
So it made sense. So if the timer goes off, then he kills her because there's nobody there to stop him. So once Batman showed up, I had no problem with KG Beast not killing Martha there. He needed her for leverage. Then we get a sick thing where Batman just comes through the wall, grabs one of the henchmen, and then he holds the gun at KG Beast, and KG Beast got the fire and like, I'll kill her, I'll do it. And Batman, a line from the Dark Knight Returns comic, I believe you. Bam, shoots him, and then I'm assuming KG Beast in the comics he's badly scarred, so I'm assuming he's still alive, and maybe we'll see him down the line. He might be dead, I don't know, but either way, that's a cool little Easter egg there for the character of KG Beast. But the line right there by Batman, I believe you. Such a great line by Ben Affleck. And also, too, when he says to her right afterwards.
To Martha.
A lot of people complain. Why is he saying, he says, I'm a friend of your son's. And then she says, I figured the cape. A lot of people had a problem with Batman saying, I'm a friend of your son's. Look, definitely I agree. They weren't friends yet. They just gotten the resolve. He was just saying that to comfort her. She was just about to be murdered. It wasn't literal. I'm a good friend of your son's. We hang out. We go to the movie. No, I'm
comforting Martha.
I'm a friend.
Trying to make her feel a little bit safer.
I'm a friend. I'm here to help you. I'm a friend of your son's.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know why people got so pissed by that line. It's just I thought it was perfect.
I mean, people are just seems like they love to jump all over this movie. I mean, we are nitpicking a lot.
We got on it too, but
it's not like we think the movie's terrible. We
like it a lot.
Like the movie a lot,
and our nitpicks are to make it better. It's not because this movie we hate it. No, it's our nitpicks are we wanted it for the better. That's all.
So right as the timer goes off, Superman shows up with Lex, and he's like, "Oh," he says he's late or whatever.
Something about the Alice in Wonderland with the bunny and the White Rabbit, rather.
Yeah. So the timer went off, so he calls KGB.
Tell me the bad news, or something like that.
Or he's like, "Break me the bad news." He's like, "I'd rather do the breaking in person." It's Batman on the other line.
Yeah, such a
badass
line.
And you see Lex's face is like, be all.
I can't let you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, now we get the creation of Doomsday, and again, not the fault of Jesse Eisenberg, the fault of the writers, Chris Terry and David S. Goyer. Doomsday literally tries to kill Lex within 5 seconds, and I get it. Lex had enough, he just wants Superman dead at this point, fine. But if it tries to kill you, I wish they just would have added some dialogue he has control. But overall, it was still sick to see Superman holding down Doomsday, and then he punches him, and then they start fighting.
They have a quick little fight scene, which is really sick.
He throws him into Superman's monument, right? The little statue monument, and then he throws him into a building, right? And then does the army then start like going after Doomsday?
Yeah, like he kind of jumps up onto LexCorp, and then the army starts firing into him, and that only makes Doomsday stronger. So then after that, Superman just grabs him and flies him way up into space.
But right before that happens, right before Superman grabs Doomsday into space, Wonder Woman is on an airline, Turkish Airlines. Got to get our paid promotion here, right?
Yeah.
So she's on Turkish Airlines watching the news, and she sees Doomsday attacking the city. That's where she goes. She gets off the plane, and then we hear one of the airline women saying, "Miss Prince, Loved hearing Miss Prince. That was awesome. So then she obviously, presumably, she goes to the battle, which was spoiled for us in trailer number 2. But then, as you were alluding to, Superman, learning from what happened in the Battle of Metropolis, Collateral Damage, he takes he takes Doomsday up into space, and then the president being talked to with the secretary, played by Harry Lennox. The president is being voiced by Patrick Wilson, who was Night Owl in Watchmen, another Zack Snyder cameo there. The president says, nuke them. And, like, you understand the president's decision there. But I love when the secretary says, sir, we'll have a casualty, Superman.
And it shows that he's on Superman's side, like he always has been since Man of Steel.
Yeah, because Superman saved him in Man of Steel. So
they fire the nuke at them, and they explode, and you see one target go down onto this island, and the other target disappears, and they say, oh, that's Superman.
Oh, it doesn't re-enter the orbit, is what they say. It doesn't disappear. It just didn't re-enter the orbit, and that was Superman, is the target that did not re-enter orbit. And they make Zack Snyder, feeling all the anger from Man of Steel, you let so many people die, they make a reference to point out when Doomsday lands on the island, it's uninhabited. They make it very clear in there. So we can't get mad at all the death and collateral damage. So I thought that was cute how they did that.
And they show that shot of Superman just floating in space, right? And his face is all white and
just like the Dark Knight Returns.
Comics. So that was a cool shot, a cool throwback to there. And then you see the sun kind of on him, and it starts turning him, back to normal.
It starts to regenerate. It regenerates.
And you see his eyes go all red, and I thought that was sick, and he flies back down.
And I gotta say, when Batman is showing back up to when he speaks to Alfred over the comms, and he's like, Alfred, what's happening there? I love Jeremy Irons' response. How best to describe it? Like, I don't know.
Humor in the terrible moment.
But you're thinking about Alfred. How do you describe that?
It's true.
I love, again, for people saying there's no humor in this movie, I completely challenge you and say you are wrong.
Yeah.
There is definitely humor in this film. And Alfred and Perry do the most of the humor, with Batman having a little humor in some scenes too. So I don't know why people felt this movie had no humor at all. I've literally heard people, zero humor, no humor whatsoever. So I don't know.
Some people are hard to please,
Yeah, it's all subjective. So, but like I said, I disagree with anyone who says there's no humor in this film. That's all. So, but again, I love Alfred staying so calm in that situation. And then we get Batman. He sees Doomsday down there, and like he's flying around, and then it's trying to laser him. And then he again. I understand we had to get Wonder Woman in there to save Batman. And again, Batman to me is the world's greatest detective, as he is in the comics. I just didn't care for his strategy in this scene. He tried to get Doomsday to follow him to Gotham, to another uninhabited place.
They mentioned that it's uninhabited too. So.
Yeah, and Batman says it to Wonder Woman. But I just would have thought Batman would have been smarter, grab the spear and then come back. Why lead him there? And then, I don't know, it's just a flawed plan to me. And then, obviously, he's Doomsday takes down the Batplane. And then we get something that you continue the spoiler part.
I mean, this would have been such an amazing point in the movie if we hadn't already seen it.
I would have fallen out of my chair.
Yeah, he's about to kill Batman, and you see Wonder Woman block it. Yeah. And because, it's the exact same scene from the trailer. They totally gave it away. But that would have been an amazing reveal. I
would have probably fallen out of my chair.
And you hear it, and you get the great Justice League theme playing full on for the first time.
I loved it.
And I thought that would have been just made so much, like, such a surprise. Like, I guess you already knew Wonder Woman was in the movie.
No, we did, but...
No, I mean, like, even from earlier in the movie, you knew it was her. But you didn't know
they showed the context of her saving Batman and coming... And not everyone watches trailers, but you gotta remember, a lot of people in the general movie-going audience go to theaters, and they're showing that trailer, so that it's unavoidable sometimes. So I would have freaked out in that moment. Rather, even though it was still, everyone was applauding and I was still loved the moment, my head in that moment, my mind was like, come on, Wonder Woman, let's save him, please.
Yeah, and so you see Wonder Woman fighting...
and then Superman comes in.
Yeah, you see Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday, and Superman comes back from in space, and I actually thought Gal Gadot did a really good job playing Wonder Woman, like, as the actor, because she doesn't look very big, she's not very muscular, but, like, she does a very convincing job on all her fight scenes. I thought they did a good job with that.
Absolutely, and I also, too, seeing the Trinity finally talk to each other and strategize and work, I'm like, I've been waiting my life to see this. It was crazy. And then right after that, we cut to Lois Lane getting the spear. Now, at first, I had issue with this because how does she know to get the spear? But then Jason and I were kind of talking. We're thinking about it. You know what? It makes sense why she would want the spear, because she did see Doomsday. No, she didn't see it come from the ship, but she saw the power electrical
She saw the
surge.
ship like reaction.
She has to believe it's from that ship. Where else would it be from? Because that ship was going haywire crazy. So it makes sense
And
why
she's been piecing all this together the entire movie.
Yeah,
so.
it made sense to me why she would get the spear without Batman, Superman. Get the spear. We need you to go kill.
My issue is why she threw it in the water in the first place.
that I agree with.
She could have just grabbed it, but
Put it to the
you know
side
why?
somewhere.
They had to save Lois one more time.
But her retrieving the spear without having knowledge of one of them, it doesn't bother me as much now that I think more about it, and now I've kind of gone into the scene more in depth. So just for me personally. Then we finally see Doomsday and Wonder Woman like just battling out. Honestly, there's nothing really for Batman to do.
And
He's
yeah,
kinda
Superman's in there too, and you see Batman on the side just kind of watching. I thought that was a really sick shot from the side of Doomsday just going to
and
town
seeing
about
Batman
those guys.
from back was cool
And
shot.
and there's really nothing Batman can do against Doomsday. He's not super. He's not like super strong or anything. So I don't blame Batman for sitting this one out.
For sure. And then we, as we mentioned for a third time, Superman hears Lois banging because from an explosion from Doomsday, like one of the walls collapsed and she was trapped underwater.
Mhm.
Superman can hear her knocking on the bricks or whatever is underwater, and he goes to save her, and then immediately jumps into the water to retrieve the kryptonite spear. And then when Lois grabs him out of the water, the visual shot, it just really reminded me of Richard Donner's 1978 Superman with the movie with Christopher Reeve, when Miss Tessmacher grabs Superman out of the water and he's got the kryptonite necklace around his neck.
Mhm.
It just really, that visual, was a real visual reminder of Superman the movie for me. So I thought that was really cool seeing that. Right after that, Doomsday notices Batman.
Yeah.
And then Batman's like, shit.
Yeah, and
Hits the grapple gun, and then we get the cover shot of The Dark Knight Returns. We saw it in the trailers too, but the cover shot of The Dark Knight Returns comic is with Batman being shot with a lightning bolt. That shot of him going away with the grappling gun when Doomsday fires his heat vision at Batman. Clear cut shot and beautifully shot by Larry Fong and Zack Snyder. Right up from the cover of the Dark Knight comics. That was cool. It was cool seeing Batman getting away from him and throwing the smoke and stuff, because he put like a lead grenade with smoke so that Doomsday couldn't see him. So I thought that was a nice little touch right there, seeing Batman get into the action a little, even though he couldn't physically harm him, right in that moment. But it was a cool moment seeing Batman grappling, because I'd never really seen in a live film. Yes, we'd seen Batman gliding over the city, but I've never really seen Batman grappling in a live-action film. I guess in Batman and Robin, but it looked like toy grappling. This was real grappling. This looked like a sick action grappling scene, so I thought it was really cool touch. So right after that, one of my favorite, coolest moments, Wonder Woman gets knocked to the ground, and her sword gets a little thrown from her too. She makes this smirk, this look, like, the way I read it, finally a challenge, about damn time. That just defines Wonder Woman in a nutshell right there. She is yes, she is a princess, but she is a warrior. She's an Amazonian warrior. And Gal Gadot, she just really sold me that look and that smirk she gave right there. I was like, bravo, that's Wonder Woman. Bravo, awesome. I loved it. And there's no dialogue there. It's just a subtle look.
Oh yeah, it was sick. And then
That's Wonder Woman
she
to
goes
me.
back at Doomsday and she cuts off his hand with her sword, and then you see Doomsday kind of grow that
It's protruding out of his hand.
Yeah, you see him kind of grow the little spear from it, and so basically that's when, after Lois has pulled Superman out of the water,
yes,
and he tells her like, "I love you, you're my whole world," because he knows he has to do something drastic. So and like you said, Lois is trying to get him not to do it, but he flies forward and grabs the spear.
I love the music playing.
The music's playing. This is a great scene, I thought.
And Superman and Batman shoots.
Wonder Woman lassos Doomsday,
lasso
holds him down, and Batman just in time shoots the kryptonite gas right at him, and then Superman flies in with the spear and stabs him.
I gotta say, before we continue, the shot of Wonder Woman with the lasso of truth,
it's pulling,
and with the golden glow, so iconic to look at on the screen. It was awesome. I loved it.
And then you see the green smoke, and you see Batman just there with the gun.
Yeah,
a nice shot of Batman too.
He had to contribute, so I
just thought this whole scene was pretty great. You see Superman flying in and
they were
stabbing him,
together.
and then Doomsday stabs Superman. You just see. I thought you know,
And the
Henry
way,
Cavill
and
played
the way
it pretty
he
well
screams,
too.
no, you could definitely.
And he just drives the thing
And
in
again,
greater.
to me, it was a beautiful scene. I love the way it was shot. My
Very
only
good.
gripe with it is I wish it would have happened in one of the Justice League movies or one of the Superman standalone movies, because you would have felt more of an emotional gravitas of this character. Because again, I love this Superman, but we're only 2 films in with this Superman. I would have liked the Batman and Wonder Woman. That was their first night together, and I'm not saying they didn't feel sad for their fallen comrade, but they literally only worked one night together. I just would have liked, they have a history together. I'm not saying it didn't mean anything. It would have meant so much more losing someone they've been into so many battles with. That's all we're saying. I love the scene. It was beautifully shot. I just would have liked the exact same scene a little later down the film, down the DCU. That's all, DCCU rather.
And yeah, I definitely agree with you. It would have helped if we kind of
It's a great
saw
scene.
these
I
people
liked it.
together more. And like,
Yeah.
I didn't mind the death of Superman, but it's like, we know this is the dawn of the Justice League. We know he's not really dead.
I think that's the biggest issue in this film. On top of some of the things we nitpick, there's so much going on in this movie. You're combining so many comic book elements from The Dark Knight Returns, from the death of Superman, other things. I told you there was one little Killing Joke reference, even though that's not a plot point. But just there's a lot of things going on. You got the introduction of the Justice League. You got the conflict between Batman and Superman. You got the introduction of Doomsday. You got the introduction of Wonder Woman. There's a lot going on in this film, and I think that's the biggest reason why people get on it. On top of some of the other things they got on, is there's too much is going on in this film. I understand that argument, and I do agree there are a lot, but I don't know. It's just that I guess they're playing catch up or something. But that would be my biggest criticism of the film, because the more I think about this film, the more we break it down. I like this movie.
I really
I'm
do like
not
it a
I
lot,
love
too.
it, but I like it a lot. I do enjoy it a lot.
It's a really good movie that could have been much
could have
better.
been a masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's why we get on it and we
And
nitpick.
visually, this movie is stunning.
Oh.
It looks great.
One
All
of
the
the-
action's great. Even a lot of the writing is great.
And
Like,
it's-
a lot of the
and-
lines from characters in this movie have
Yeah.
great lines.
And not comparing, but as much as we got on Batman Returns for not being a great film, the visual style of Tim Burton in that film is very beautiful, but Zack Snyder just one-ups him right here in the visual style.
And the
I love-
action is just so great, especially
Oh.
finally seeing Batman really just kicking ass.
Oh, absolutely. But I just wish that added LexCorp scene.
Yeah, I
That's
know. That would have been nice. So
Yeah.
so Superman dies, and we see, Batman and Wonder Woman, feeling bad with Lois, but like
And
you
they're
said,
they're holding him
they're
in the
holding
cave,
him.
rather.
and it cuts to, it shows, the funeral scenes where his real body's in Kansas with his mother, but then there's an empty casket in New York where they're trying to honor him like a soldier.
Yes.
And Wonder Woman says they don't know how to honor him any other way but like a soldier. And we also see that Superman's mother, Martha, gives Lois a package that
Yes.
Lola Clark had sent with an engagement ring in it. So that's a
Yeah.
little
It was-
added
it was touching.
emotional tie.
It was
Yeah.
touching.
But basically at the funeral, Batman and Wonder Woman are talking, and he's like, yeah, we have to gather up all these people like you. You have to help me. And she's like, what makes you think they'll fight?
Well, also too, really quick. Bruce says to her, "I failed him in life.
Yeah.
I must honor him in death, and then I'm gonna bring the Justice League together." And she says to him, "What makes you think they'll fight? And what makes you think they're gonna work with us?"
Just a feeling.
It's just a feeling, because obviously he's referencing the flash warning the warning Barry Allen, Ezra Miller's character Barry Allen, the warning he gave him earlier in the film. So that's what his gut feeling is. So I like the little nod back to that, and now they've got to form the Justice League. And then Bruce also talks about how I remember Wonder Woman says to him how she walked away from this 100 years ago, and Bruce is saying men are still good. We fight, but we are still good.
And we can rebuild.
And we can rebuild. And
We
also,
have to.
yeah, and then also you see on the on Superman's grave. I love to, before we continue, it's a black grave, because in the comics, when Superman dies
In New York.
yeah, but when Superman dies in the comics by Doomsday like this, when he is resurrected, he's wearing a black suit, so the black S is clearly a nod to that suit. So I thought that was really neat. And then what did it say
And it
on
says,
there?
if you seek his monument, look
around
you.
you.
Look around you, yeah.
Right.
So I thought that was cool.
No, it was nice.
And then we're back in at the real funeral, and Lois.
No, not yet. Where Batman then goes to prison, where Lex his head has just been shaven off. He got a nice little haircut there, number 1 or number 0, right? So he got a nice little.
So
shave
now we
cut.
finally see bald Lex, like everybody wants to see, that
Right.
everyone's used to. But
I thought it was, now me personally, when I was guessing, Jason, I thought it was through exposure of kryptonite that maybe that was gonna happen, but I was totally fine with how they did it here.
Yeah.
And then Batman basically tells him, wherever you are, whatever you do, like I'll always be there. What did he?
yeah, he
like
says something like that, and then Lex is like, but the bell's already been rung.
or wherever you go, I'll be watching, is what he says. And then Lex says, but the bell has already been rung. He is clearly talking about Darkseid. and just saying that he's coming.
He says he has heard the call and he's coming,
and it can't be unrung.
Yeah, another great scene from Lex. I thought he just his final scene at the end. I thought it was cool.
So from the Omega symbols to the Mother Box to the Parademons to the deleted scene with Steppenwolf. You know, all those, and then Lex, of course, talking right here about Darkseid. This is all confirmation. Darkseid's on the way. It's just confirmation.
We don't know what movie he's going to be in, but he's definitely going to be in one of them.
If it's not Justice League Part 1, I can't imagine it's not Part 2. I'd be shocked if it would. To build him up this early and then never see him again for a few films, I don't know.
He's probably coming pretty soon.
I would say if not Part 1, Part 2. That would be my guess.
And then after the jail scene, we see Lois kind of throwing the dirt on Superman's grave. And at the very end, just before the end cut, it kind of rises. So we all know Superman's not dead.
And literally the rising, if you go back to Man of Steel, when he's about to fly for the first time, you see the snow rising. It's the exact same shot, just with dirt now on Clark's coffin. It's a beautiful shot, and I loved it, but and I know we all know he's coming back. I just wish Zack Snyder wouldn't have shown the dirt rising, just for the general going audience who doesn't know, like, you know, just, oh my God, is he really dead? But when you see the dirt rising, that clearly
confirms
tells you
that
he's not. So I just wish that they would have just stuck more with the he's dead and not shown that, but more of a nitpick from me. So overall, though, look, I enjoy this film. There's definitely, like I said, they could have cut out a few things, added
a few
other things that would have made it even way better, or not way better, but better to the masterpiece that we wanted to have, that we thought we were walking into. But still, the more we keep watching, the more I keep watching, I enjoy this film more. I feel like people sometimes are just unfairly nitpicking it.
Yeah, each subsequent time I've seen this movie, I've actually liked it more each time. You know, over the initial, like, just, you know, you want to go into this movie wanting it to be perfect, and you realize it's not, but if you just watch it from there, I mean, it's a very entertaining movie, very good writing, there's a lot of good lines, a lot of good, you know, different pieces of dialogue. Maybe some pieces of dialogue were missing from the movie, which we might get in the director's cut, but we'll have to see. Great cinematography, great action. Overall,
the pacing was good too.
Yeah, the pacing was fine. For a really long movie, I thought it actually moved by pretty quick. I really like this movie, so, you know, let us know what you guys think about it in the comments. We really want to know. We want to thank you guys for sticking with us in this really long video. But if you did manage to make it all the way through, we appreciate that, and hope you guys like these videos that we do. So if you want to see more videos like this one and all our other videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.